Hello and welcome back to the Goat Cave podcast. We've got quite the episode ahead of us today. I'm super excited to sit down and talk with Zack Gerber. But before that, I just want to let you know that yesterday we had local legend Gabe Truax on the show. If you want to hear us chat about Inflow Bike Park and how it started out 13 years ago, or the time he pulled the world's first hanger crank whip out on an up rail at X Jam a few years back, I highly suggest checking that episode out. Next weekend, we have by far the biggest name ever to be on this show. And, might actually be the biggest name for the rest of this show's life. So I'm super excited to sit down and chat with Mike Escamilla, a.k.a. Rooftop. That episode is going to be awesome just to finish off the year with a bang. I'm super excited. Make sure you don't miss that one. Today, we have a very, very special guest. This guy has sent some of the biggest tricks in street riding and is able to balance it out with his smaller tech combos. You may know him as the guy who front flipped the Brooklyn Bank Gap, but let me tell you, Zack Gerber is so much more than just that one clip. He brings out the true BMX feel in all of his video parts. I'm super stoked to sit down and speak with you, Zack. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful. Girlfriend just made tacos, so we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's what's up.
There we go. How was riding earlier today?
It was pretty good. I mean, pretty funny. I'm still sore from work, which sucks. My back hurts, of course. But I broke my handlebars riding, just doing a flat ground 180. My bike's pretty dilapidated, to tell you the truth. It's been 2 years since I put new handlebars on it, so I'm not really surprised they broke.
That's for sure. Something that I feel like a lot of people won't understand is just how much you actually put your bike through. Even just as myself, an average rider, I've broken numerous frames, but for somebody like yourself that sends such huge shit, the fact that those bars stuck around for 2 years is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people just see something like, oh, you posted on the internet, it broke, that means it sucks. It's like, no, if you know any background to it, I've been running the same stuff for over 2 years now. So that actually says a lot. It's been through a lot of clips. It's been some of the largest 360s I've done, shit like that,
Oh, exactly. That's pretty crazy. I guess it's good they broke on a 180 and not anything worse than that, right?
Yeah, I was literally riding a parking lot. It was the first 180 of the day, and they cracked. You could hear them pop. I was like, "What?"
Oh fuck, dude! I had a set of forks snap on me, right in the center. So literally just snap in half as I was over a box jump. So literally 10 feet up, land, fork snapped, and all I remember is waking up and having to go to the hospital and get my teeth pulled back.
That's worst case scenario. So I'll take it. Something stupid in a parking lot versus something real,
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, I was kind of an idiot and I should have been checking that stuff, especially because I could feel that something was wrong, but I just assumed it was my headset. So I'm I should have really done that. I guess I learned my lesson, but
yeah, I feel that, man. Anything on the front end is no joke.
No, definitely not. All right, yeah. So let's go way back here. When did you first start riding and how did you get into it?
Oh my goodness. I gotta try to even remember. Yeah. I guess if I can tell my age. Let's see. How did I start riding? I mean, obviously, I grew up with my older brother doing wheelies and shit on a mongoose on the back street. So that was definitely an influence. My dad used to race motocross, so I mean, I was on motorcycles and shit at a young age. But yeah, I really got my first BMX bike after riding my mountain bike on the way home, and I got hit by a car.
Oh shit!
Yeah. The person who actually hit me, they gave me money for a new bike because I mean, there's lawyers and shit calling the house, and they were my neighbors actually, and they came over. It's all I wanted is another bike, because it just ruined my bicycle, and that's how I actually got my first 20-inch bicycle.
That's crazy.
Getting run over by a car.
I guess that's one positive thing out of it, right? Getting run over by that car once has changed your life, I would say.
Yeah, right? It's wild as shit to say, but yeah, it's real.
Wow, that's so crazy. Do you remember what the first bike was that you got?
Yeah, so I went over to like a town that was like 45 minutes away to this place called Bike World, and I got a Schwinn Predator. It was like the burgundy color.
Oh,
I
it's
even got
sick.
like I got like Skyway pegs for it that were like, I mean, I'm not that old, but shit. I had like Skyway pegs on it and shit, like the screw-on ones, like the little knobby guys. Like, I didn't know shit about bike riding. I was just like, damn, these things are cool. And it was a 20-inch. It was like a race bike. Like, I mean, I was probably like 98 that happened. So
Oh, wow. Dude,
maybe I am that old.
I was born in 96, so that might say something for you. I'm a youngin',
Man,
but
yeah,
BMX is
that's
seriously
sick.
like it's taken over my life. I've been riding for close to 10 years, and like for the last 8 years I've done BMX jams in town where I give away my own money. I've done 2 full-length
Oh yeah,
DVDs, so I don't know. The podcast is just something where I'm like I got to talk to people, and it's so funny. I had the Fids on, and like he was
yeah.
telling me how long he's rode. I'm like, you've literally been riding longer than I've been alive. Like that is insane.
Oh yeah. There's people out there. I mean, shit. Dennis McCoy, like he turned pro when I was born. You know
Oh
what I
my
mean?
god. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man. So, do you remember what your first sponsor was?
Shit. I mean, other than like small stuff, I mean, realistically, like my first like actual pro shit where I got like money for like riding bikes and doing stunt shows would be with like DK
Oh,
back in the
nice.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
How long did you ride for DK for?
shit, I don't know. 3, 4 years. I actually can't remember off the top of my head, but something like that. And like they helped me out with like, obviously that's like System Cycles, so they had like you could get parts through them, and then I mean like Maxxis Tires was a part of DK at the time too, so I was like running the full like setup, doing stunt shows and shit with them.
That's crazy. So I take it you were more of a park rider when you first started then, right?
Yeah, I was like riding Dew Tour and shit then, doing that spiel.
Oh, wow. How did you transition into street riding?
I mean, I'm from like an era like when you just rode everything. So
That's
like,
the
I
that's the
mean,
best era.
yeah, like you're a product of your environment. So like you grow up watching like props videos and shit on VHS, and it covers like everything: dirt contest, park contest, street riding. You just rode like whatever you had. Originally, like all we had was what was in the streets, and then eventually we found like indoor skate parks like Studio 334, Section 8, places like that, and started traveling to them. And obviously in between there, I'm from Pennsylvania, so you got like trails, you know what I mean? Like all that shit's just intermingled. It's just kind of like you rode what you had. Park was like probably the most dominant thing, especially because like once we went to Studio 334 and shit, like we started working on our own park in our hometown. And I mean, from there, like having a park in town is just you become a park rider. Yeah, I rode street and other things at the same time, but you know, that's what was there. That's what I did.
Oh, wow. I would assume you've rode FDR then if you're from Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a northwestern Pennsylvania person. I grew up in, uh, you know, a small town, middle of nowhere, in between like Pittsburgh and Erie. So the original like Square One team were really influential to like my riding and shit. Like going to places like up in Erie, like Shebang. I mean, running into people like Chris Adamski and Chris Bennett at this Progressions Ramp Park, which was in St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, and seeing those guys ride. You know what I mean? The Square One team was really like influential. Like meeting Chris Doyle at like Studio 334 when I was like a teenager. You know what I mean? Like super influential people. I've been to like FDR and stuff on the far side of PA. I've rode like Minersville trails, Lock Haven trails is even like where I went to college and shit. Like, you know what I mean? I've rode Posh, Caddy, like all that shit growing
Nice.
up. So
Yeah, that's crazy, man. There's a park that Doyle always rides. It was he's got quite a few clips in Anthem 2. I don't know what it's called, but it has this really crazy like concrete bowl in it. I'm assuming you definitely have rode that then.
I have no idea. I mean, I know it's probably one of the you know that deep ass bowl that he like comes out of and he like foofanoos the fence out of?
I think it's at that park, yeah.
Yeah, that's the boys' park in Pittsburgh.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, if you go in back to like Square One, Wide Awake Nightmare, Doyle has that bonus section where he rides Studio 334, just that entire skate park. It's like snowing out, and he drives up, does the whole like intro shit. But yeah, that's where I met like most of the people I know from. I mean, shit. From there at Studio, I went into like Woodward Camp, and like the dudes I went to Woodward Camp with were like people who are pro now. Like Dan Foley was in my thing, Zach Warden was there, Ben Hiddle, Jake Seeley. All those dudes, like, we went to Woodward Camp at the same exact time. They were there the same week. I was there. We all got tap invited. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. I mean, Bryce Toole, who was a dude who was working at Studio 334, was, like, my instructor. Like, Shanton Wilson was a dude. Like, he was, like, the overseer of the whole thing. He was there, too. Like, he's a, Columbus fucking legend. Like, I don't know, Mike fucking Cottle, for example. He was working at Studio too. Like, there's a whole bunch of fucking names because of those skate parks. Like, BMX was such a small thing then that, like, if you knew each other, like, you knew everybody almost. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. That's, like, so crazy, though. Dan Foley is, like, one of my favorite riders, too. That guy is so smooth.
Dude, yeah, Dan was, like, just a little kid. Like, I was, like, 16 or 17 when I went to Woodward Camp, and he was, like, mad young, and, like, bike was way too big for him, and he was already fucking, like, had, like, the sickest style already. So, yeah, Dan's a really good rider and a really good human being. So, yeah, Dan's sick.
Yeah, like, I always see his stuff online, and I always just think that he's probably, like, the most genuine dude. I don't know, I feel like certain people can portray it online and whatnot, but I just feel like that guy is such a solid, good, solid dude, I guess.
Yeah, he's like very humble, very like he doesn't speak unless he needs to. You know what I mean? Like he'll say it, and he's always real as shit when he does say what he's got to say.
Yeah, I want to try and get him on the podcast. That would be a kind of a cool episode, I bet.
Yeah, Dan's rad.
Yeah. Moving on from that, way back when in your oh well section, you did a rail hop front flip down a set of stairs. Now, before we start talking about that, I just want to say I think that was maybe one of the clips that, like, I think that was the first clip I ever saw of you, like, years ago. And I remember just watching it and, like, watching it over and over again, still, like, couldn't understand the fact that you even did that. How did you come up with that idea, and was that the first front flip that you ever sent street?
Oh, man. Let's see. So, no, that was definitely not the first thing I did street riding. Shit, I front flipped a set of stairs, I think, for the first time back in 2007.
Jesus.
That was the first one, like, over a rail. That was at, like, Rutgers University. It's like a tall-ass, like, 13 or 14 stair. Like, tall-ass stairs. And the rail is just, like, at a 45 down the stairs. And it's like, well, shit, if I can front flip the stairs, I could front flip over this rail because it just lines up. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was down there, like, shooting photos with, like, Chris Marshall and shit, and we were just, like, stacking footage. Like, it's just, I mean, shit, the whole oh well video was just, like, kind of like a fucking joke. Like, it was just something that me and, like, Jake Colson, for example, just put together as a joke. Like, we were just like, well, this clip's in here. Let's actually make a video out of it and have a premiere. Like, me being self-centered and egotistical, fucking putting myself at the fucking ender like a dickhead around that entire clip. Like, I edited the whole thing and put myself at the end. I'm that guy. Fucking what a jerk. But yeah, I don't know. That photo went in for my Ride BMX like interview and shit like that. So yeah, I don't know if I covered everything, but yeah, it's basic.
That, like, honestly, man, it was mind-blowing seeing that. I remember that was the first time I had heard of you. I think there's a clip that was a little bit earlier, or most likely filmed earlier. You did a bump jump flare off of a loading dock. Was that before that front flip or after?
I mean, it's kind of around the same time period. That was a photo sequence of that ended up in, like, Dig magazine. Somewhat around the same time period, probably only like a few years apart, year or two. Once again, Marshall shot that photo as well. Him and I used to work together a lot on shit. But yeah, that was just like an entirely like random event. Like we just, I mean, it's a a grindable ledge. It's essentially like a coping ledge, and we like there's a 7-Eleven or some shit around the corner. We were there to like warm up and get breakfast. And I had just gotten back from like Florida, living with like Spencer Forsman, and I was like, oh yeah, like I was joking about doing this trick. I wonder if it would work. And then on one side of it, there's like grass, like the foam pit, street foam pit, and I like literally just tried it once and got around. I was like, damn, I could do this for real. So, set up cameras and shit, and then fucking 10 tries later, did it.
So crazy, man. There was a clip that I saw. Sorry to interrupt. There was a clip that I saw on Pink Bike years ago. Oh, I had his name up earlier because I totally remembered it. But the dude does like a flare into grass off the side of his mini ramp, like with this little tiny thing.
It's Craig Mass.
That's who it was. Yeah, I knew it started with a C.
Yeah, no, Craig's one of the homeboys. I've known Craig for a long time. Him and I used to write Section 8 together. Yeah, Craig did that well before I did mine.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
Literally, screwed a 2x4 to the side of his mini ramp. If it was his, I don't even remember whose it was. Whatever, he just bumped flares off of that. Yeah, that was sick. That dude was killed it.
It was so crazy because I saw that when I first started riding BMX, and I just remember like same thing, watching it over and over again, trying to understand how somebody could even do that. And like for the longest time, I was like, this has got to be fake. Like there's some way that they faked this. I have no I don't know. I was a dumb kid at that point, but like it was just so mind blowing. You know what I mean? It's like insane to think of how progressive BMX has been in the last 20 years, and like how much it's changed and how quick it's progressing now, especially.
Oh yeah, man. But yeah, Craig Mass, he was definitely ahead of his time. Dude definitely killed it forever.
Yeah, that guy, like that clip, I really should do more research on him because that clip was mind blowing. I'm sure that he's like an absolute like shredder. So.
Oh yeah, he's like one of those people who's just like once you got it, you still got it. I've watched that man like literally like tail whip over like bunny hop tail whip over like a sitting chair. Like, you know what I mean? Like a fold out chair that you have for like a picnic or some shit, or like an event outdoors,
Jesus.
Like, just hop flip over one of those, like stem height or higher hop tail up over that. And it's just like, dude's unreal.
That's so crazy.
Oh yeah, he was back on like the old DC team and shit. Yeah, Craig killed it.
So something actually that kind of brings up my next question here. And a lot of your videos, I've really been watching them, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you really aren't much of a tail whip guy, eh?
No, I hate tail whips.
I was gonna say, is there any reason behind that? Because I feel like it's such a staple trick now in BMX. I don't know if you're just not into them.
No, it's just like something I did a long time ago, and I did way too many of them. If you go back into get on YouTube and go through like Zack Gerber Bad Omen videos, like that's me like when I was in like high school. Like you watch one of those videos, there's all your tail whips. I used to run like breaks, double whips, like all that crap, 3-tap whips, like flare turn down, 5-tap tail whip in. Like I was on like that Scotty Kramer, Mark Webb kind of shit back in the day. Like ever since I went to like brake list, I started doing less and less whips, and then like being a free coaster, I'm just like, nah, man, tail whips hurt way too much. It's not worth the effort.
Yeah, they're a pretty difficult trick, and I guess like in my mind too, I think they're kind of overdone at this point. Like something that I've really got to say I love about your riding is that you do so many tricks that are like original and like such a different way. Like you really don't see too many people doing like 180 tuck no handers over gaps and stuff like that. Like it's just, I like that way more than a tail whip half the time.
Yeah, I mean the stuff's wild. Like regardless of, I mean my thing is just like I'd rather prefer to see like how you ride a spot. It's not necessarily the trick, but how you ride things, the way you perceive the obstacles and the way you would use those obstacles. It's not just about like, and I mean, I used to do that when I was younger. I just like tail whip over everything or bar spin over it, and then like just completely avoid, maybe there's a really cool rail next to it that's like a 60/40 or rail into a ledge or something. Like, I guess that's just with age too. Like something that, I think all riders, you're going to eventually change your riding You're not just going to focus on the trick anymore. You're going to focus on what and how you ride things. You know what I mean? You refine your riding. It's not just like, what tricks can I do? You know?
No, that's a really good point. I actually could really appreciate that. That's something that I feel like most people don't really pay attention to is just the style and how you go about something. But that
Yeah.
can be what changes everything for a rider, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about my video parts, you can definitely see like the focus from being on like, what trick am I doing? Focus on the trick. And then my latest section, it's not just the trick, it's what I'm riding and what I'm doing it on. Like, become more like focused on, you know, that essentially the way to express yourself. You know what I mean? It's not just like, which to me, like when you're doing tricks and things, it's very much the sport of BMX. Like, oh, look at this, the biggest drop, the biggest tail whip, the biggest bar spin, blah, blah, blah. It's very sport mentality. And then like when you get into like the expression of BMX riding, which is more of like an art form, it's performance art, that's when you're focusing on your medium, you know, what you're doing it on, why you're doing it, how it looks. And that is, to me, a lot more cool. Especially, that's probably just my age, though, too, so.
No, I can definitely see that, especially with your us them section. Like so many of the spots in there are like so unreal. Like you can tell that you probably spend a lot of time just looking for spots to ride.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is, you know, friends. You know, the spot hunting thing is it's a damn near secret society. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gives up shit. Nobody tells where stuff is. Like, it's rough out here, especially in like the Midwest, East Coast. But yeah, I'm fortunate to have a good group of friends that, you know, we all care about that and have been, you know, looking and searching the Midwest for a long ass time and know how to use Google Maps very well. So
that's definitely something you want to have, especially if you're searching for spots. I've found quite a few spots just from Google Maps that are like hours away, and it's kind of difficult to want to make that trip and see if it's actually the way that it is. But half the time, if you do it right, it is perfect. It's exactly how it looks, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, technology like that has made it. I mean, for what we do, is made it awesome because I can definitely save you like, you know, if somebody's like, yo, I drove past the spot, it looked pretty good. You get a picture? No. And what are you going to do? Take their word for it? It's like, no, nowadays you can actually like Google that shit, go through streets, you can look at things, like make it worth your while. If you're going to drive a few hours to something, make it worth. I mean, you know, shit, that's what we do anyway. The whole us them project. I mean, we drove from coast to coast. You know what I mean? Looking for spots, going to spots, doing all that shit. So
that whole video, like, well, I guess the whole video part that you had in that was incredible. Like every trick was just seemed like a banger, and I feel like quite a few tricks were overlooked in it. One of the tricks that I wanted to talk about was the 180 roller coaster grind cab bar out on that double ledge setup. How did you kind of come up with that idea? Because that is like mind blowing. I feel like it was so quick. Like there should have been something for it, you know, like maybe a double angle or I don't know, just something more to appreciate it.
that's a spot up in Michigan. It's like on this like waterfront. There's like a pond, whatever, and those are benches, and they used to be movable. And then when we got there, they had like used like I don't know. They essentially fastened them to the decking, and we used a few tools to remove them. But then we set up the coaster setup. I mean, I don't know. That took me quite a while to do. Because it's not really like, I'm not a like super technical rider. I'm not good at like tech, but I'm mostly just really stubborn. So I'll sit there and try something for sometimes hours until it happens. But yeah, took quite a while. But I was riding it with a group of friends too, so a lot of people got clips on it as well. Like for example, he did like the coaster feeble nollie hard 180 out of it.
Damn.
So it was cool. Like we were all riding it in a session. So, you know, that makes it a lot more enjoyable. The only person who probably was not enjoying that was Howard because he was on the camera the entire time.
Yeah. There you go. So how many tries would you say you probably took at that clip? Like in the hundreds?
That one, probably not that many. The two clips that took me the longest were at the Jersey spot, like at those banks, the Stricker banks. I did like the Smith pop over the L, over the rail on top, and then into the bank. That one took like 4 hours. So probably
Jeez.
over 100 tries. And then also like the Switch Feeble 270 like kickflip into the bank. That's here in Columbus. That one took me. I literally was like trying for so long, and it was like 95 degrees outside. And I was like, Howard, if I don't do this try, we're just done. And I managed to land at that try, but that probably took 200 tries or something.
Wow. Yeah, I've my last video project that I did. So like I do all the filming, editing. My last video had animation in it as well that I did myself.
Yeah.
I would sit there for hours with people. Like, there was one guy. I put a skate part in it because like this dude that we hang out with, he's just always been super cool, and he comes out with all the bikes, and he's like a skateboarder, but. We went to this spot. It's like a big hole in this wall, and like you can barely fit through it if you duck. And he wanted to ollie through it, so we went there 2 days in a row, and I think that there was over 400 tries total of him just trying to ollie through this hole. And like the very last one, he was like, "All right, if I don't get it here, like we're just never gonna do it. Like I'm just giving up on it." And of course, got it that try.
Yeah.
It's like such a
There's a lot of
crazy
psychology that goes into that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just feel like, you can really see the patience and like the persistence behind skaters or BMX riders just with stuff like that,
Oh yeah, every person out there, like, it's really funny because when you're young and naive as a bike rider, you think these pros do all this shit like first try because you watch their videos. And then, like, as you get older, you're like, yeah, there's no fucking way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how long shit takes. You know what I mean? You know the amount of work that you fucking put into shit.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. We had a clip of my buddy. He was doing a hop over a rail to inside of the rail, pegs, hard 180 out over top of another rail. And that clip took about 5 different sessions each time, probably 50, 60 different runs at it, and over the span of 9 months. And like when he got it, it was unbelievable that he actually fucking pulled it. And like it was just so crazy to do that. So shout out to you, Jesse. That was fucked.
Yeah, that's sick. See, that's like, and what's crazy is like people like don't know that. But that's like what's cool about it. So like your friends know. You know what I mean? It makes like a really good like story within the circle of your friends. You know like what went into that. And all that people see though is just like the end result, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, I know. I've been meaning to.
I mean? It's like, motherfucker, I've been trying this shit for months. What do you mean?
And it's such a quick clip as well. It was definitely one where I wish that we could have had like multiple angles or something, just because he put in so much work. I felt like it's kind of a cop out to have a 6-second clip of something that's like, something that took so long.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of clips for a lot of people, I'm sure, out there where, like, you want to put in all these multiple angles and shit to, like, try to explain how difficult it is. But it's like, you never can. You can never translate that well in film until you actually go to that spot and then you appreciate what somebody did.
Oh, of course.
I think it's important that people do that. Like, that's one of the cool things about bike riding. You should travel to places and you should go see what has been done at places. You should see it. You know what I mean? Because when you see it, it's a lot different than what you watch on your fucking phone screen. You know what I mean? It's like, it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like all that, the run up, how crappy the ledge is, how crappy the landing is, whatever it is, you actually see it, and then you'll get an idea of like what they had to go through to get that clip.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. Like something that, I tried to do in my last video is if there was like a really shitty run up or like a really shitty run out, I tried to make it like so that you could appreciate that and see it on film. But exactly like you said, you really will never get it unless you go there and look at it with the same intentions of that person that was trying it, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And like that's one cool thing. I mean, you go to a place and you're like, "You did what here?" You're like, "Holy shit!" Like,
no, that's so true.
Yeah. For
Oh
sure.
man. All right, so let's go back to hard times here. So in hard times, you did a 180 tuck no hander off a wooden loading dock thing that had like a little bank. I
Hmm.
really liked that clip. That was really cool. Where is that spot, and how many times did you try that?
That's a little weird one. It was in Dayton. It's gone now. That spot is RIP. But it's like it had like a quick turn in, so you had to like with speed hop into like this weird, just random, almost like wooden ramp, and then go through. It's got like a flat top on it. It's got like a wall to your left side and a 4x4 post to your right, which holds up the ceiling above it. Um, I don't know. That one didn't take too many tries. I think I wanted to do something else on it, like do like a 180 onto it and then cab off of the loading dock thing. And I ended up just settling for the 180 tuck, which took like one or two tries, and just like something that's just like full speed and something I was doing at the time. Some no handers. I don't really do no handers anymore. I was just talking about that today, ironically.
Yeah, no handers. I really want to get back at doing them. I put brakes on a couple years ago, and I've just been a bitch every time. Like I always catch the lever or something stupid I just can't get my hand on. But it is such a good looking trick. I wish that I could start doing them again because they are really cool, and I feel like they're not overused that much in BMX right now. So
Yeah, I used to do them a bunch, and I used to even have like suicide no handers down. I've done a few of those. I just don't do that stuff anymore. Maybe if it calls for it, but I don't know. It's not something I necessarily go out and do. You know who does that stuff real good? You know who's
Mike
good no
Gray.
hander? Mike Gray, all day.
Yeah, there we go.
And
He's
he does some
actually
cool shit.
he's like sort of local to where I live. So I live about an hour ish from Joyride 150, and he typically
Yeah.
would ride at Joyride.
Yo, that dude kills it. Mike is awesome, and he's an all-around like really solid dude too. Like definitely, like he does, dude. Like him doing like the manual 180 tuck no handers and shit. Like I love that.
Yeah, he's
He's
unreal, man.
somebody. Yeah, he's definitely like he does like the fakie cab, like full cab tuck to fakie, like all that shit.
Yeah, that dude is
I like.
so good.
Yeah, I definitely. He's one of the people who like he makes that shit look good. So.
For sure. Uh, do you ride with the space brace at all? Like that's the thing that he made, I think.
Yes, I do. He actually, they sent me one, so it was very nice of them. I sent him money too, just because I believe in. I don't like getting things for free. I don't think that's a fair trade-off. Like, what you want me to post about it on Instagram? Like, what does that do for you? That doesn't put money in your fucking pocket. That doesn't pay your rent. That doesn't put food in your belly. Let me actually pay you for something. So
Oh,
I like
that's
sending money for that shit. And yeah, that product is. If you got weak ankles out there, or you like doing like some gnarly drops and shit, that stuff it really works. They made it an awesome product.
yeah. I got a pair of those about 2 years ago at Christmas from my dad because my ankles are pretty toast just from doing like big drops and whatnot as well. So really good to have those. Like every time I put them on, I just feel like my ankles are invincible. Like probably shouldn't think that because they're definitely not, but you know, they definitely
Yeah,
help.
yeah, sure. It's
Um,
good to see people doing like people who are BMX riders doing products for BMX riders too. You know what I mean? That's cool. You got to support that shit.
oh, of course, that was my thought too. Is like mine have kind of a hole in the back of them and they're falling apart, and like I messaged him on getting a warranty about a year ago, and I just decided not to because like he was fully willing to, and I was like, you know what? No, I'll just give you another $80 because these products are so worth it, and you are a really good rider, and I want to try and support you. So like I definitely wouldn't
Yeah,
mind giving him
exactly.
that money.
Yeah, we got to look out for each other. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody else looking out for us. We shouldn't be stealing from each other's pockets. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely can agree. I think that that's something people don't really do too much. They don't really think about their local bike shop or their local indoor park in the summer. Like yesterday, we
Yeah,
had
no, yeah,
we had Gabe.
absolutely for sure.
Yeah, we had Gabe Truax here. His dad is the owner of Inflow, which is probably the oldest skate park in Ontario that's like an indoor park.
Yeah.
And he was, talking to us a little bit about that. And those parks do struggle quite a bit in the middle of the summer, like
Yeah.
it's completely understandable on why they would. Like people, especially around here, we spend about 6 months every winter just like hanging out at these indoor parks, and we don't have too many of them. But they
Yeah.
definitely they need support in the middle of the summer. Even if you just go in to buy something from them, that's like enough.
Yeah, it's something that has to do with like, I mean, we can go into like political bullshit here, but it has to do something with like the whole concept of like free culture. You know what I mean? Everybody wants something for free. They're like, hey, I'll fucking let me get your product and I'll put it on Instagram. Get you some advertising. It's like, no, it ain't the same, dude. It
It's
ain't the same. Like,
definitely not.
like if you love something, if you fucking truly believe in it, and if you want it to do good, support that shit with your dollar. Go buy it. You know what I mean? That's the real thing. You love, and trust me, man, like for somebody who grew up, like Studio 334 was my home. And when that skate park shut down, it was like, I don't know what the hell to do with my life. You know what I mean? And like people, undoubtedly kids up there, teenagers, adults, whatever it is, like if you lose that place, man, it's going to affect your entire scene. It will affect all your friends. You'll lose so many people in the community if something like that shuts down, because you might not realize it, but that's like a hub for what you do with your life. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. No, we were talking exactly about that. Like, Gabe really went deep on it, which is really cool. One of the things that I did ask him is like, if Inflow wasn't around, where would you be? And he was like, I don't even know if I'd be riding. So
Yeah, no, there's a lot of friends that like just quit riding when it closed because, and you take it for granted too. And I was like a dumbass kid who totally took it for granted. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just do something else. I'll just ride outside. Like, who cares? And then it shuts down and it's like December and you're like, man, like, oh, fuck, I could be riding right now. I got nowhere to go. Like, and a lot of people don't stick with it then. And all your friends that you used to hang out with, people are quitting like flies, like dropping off, like, and then you're like one of the last people left riding. And it's just like, shit, what the fuck happened? Like, yeah, you don't realize how important that shit is until it's gone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, don't let that happen.
I really like the point that you made there, man. I really appreciate the fact that you can understand where, you know, like we need more support, obviously, within BMX.
Oh, yeah. Like, be proud of the shit you buy. Like, be proud that you go to work. You know what I mean? Like, you go to work and you take money from outside. You know what I mean? You got your job, you come in and then you buy parts. Like, and that's why it's so important what you do. What you do buy, be really behind it. Like, if you're going to buy it, remember how important that dollar is to not only you, but to them. So, like, value that shit. Vote with your dollar. If you really like something, support it. Bring that money in. And I don't know. I just think everybody should appreciate what we're doing within each other, within our own culture. You know what I mean? Try to make people proud of being bike riders. You know what I mean? Like, it just bums me out sometimes when you see like outside shit trying to get involved in BMX. Like, no, this is our culture. This is our world. Let us do our own shit. We need people with like-minded, to be like-minded and just like support one another. Be happy to give them money. Go and buy shit from the counter that you don't even need. Go buy like 10 Snickers. You don't need that many, but hey, you got that money in your pocket, just buy it. Help them out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we all need help with support the shit that supports you,
Hell yeah, man. So that's a good transition, actually, into my next question. I didn't write this one down, so I hope you're prepared for this. But UCI and the BMX going into the Olympics, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, with the whole Olympic thing, I think it's awesome. Like I said, I see BMX as like, I'm a dualist here. Like, I see BMX as a sport, and I also see BMX as a performance art. You know what I mean? It's like the way we express ourselves. And on the sport aspect, it going into the Olympics, the largest a world audience. You know what I mean? That's awesome. That's amazing, and I really hope it does well. I hope there's kids out there who are like, and people might get mad about this. I hope kids see that and they're like, you know what? I want a 3 triple whip. I want to be Logan Martin. I want to be Nick Bruce. You know what I mean? Like, I hope they say that. I hope there's kids out there who literally can't 180, but they can do flip whips into the foam pit. You know what I mean? I don't care as long as they're riding bikes. You know what I mean? Because like, that's the whole point of this entire activity, whether you see it as a sport or whether you see it as a performance art, the whole lifestyle is what matters, that you get into this and you start to travel and you start to see the world, you start to see outside of your small town or your city, you start to make new friends, and you realize that these friends are not only in, small town cities in this country, but in other countries all over the world. And it's something that like is an activity that we can all share. And that's the real part. BMX is bigger than all of us, and what it offers as far as like getting to travel, meet people, all the things that go into it, the things you get to see in the streets, in the skate parks, all of the experiences, whether they're positive or negative, all the things you're going to learn about injuries, all the things you're going to learn about the mechanics of your bicycle, all the things you're going to learn about when you're traveling in your car and you get a flat tire and you have to fix it. All that stuff is part of why we do what we do. And that's like, whatever reason, no matter what it is and how you get into BMX, it's a great thing. So whether it's learning triple whips because you've seen it on ESPN, or whether you've seen like, I don't know, something on the internet in a vlog, whatever it is, whether you're riding, as long as you're riding, that's all that matters.
Hell yeah, man. Again, really great point. I really, really like that, man. That was, I've definitely heard a lot about, people being upset about the BMX being in the Olympics. And also, of course, the vlogs is something that so many people are against. And like, I'll be honest, I do find certain vlogs to be cringy, and I wish that, people would spend more time doing video parts. But if we all filmed video parts instead of that, then, is it really going to be the same? Like, it's kind of nice to sit down and watch what people are actually doing with their life as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the whole thing. It's just like times change. I mean, I'm 34 now, so I definitely deal with people who are like, man, I hate BMX ever since Instagram came around. And it's just like, listen, man, I know you don't like vlogs, I know you don't like Instagram, and I know you think Van Homan is God. We all do, right? So if Van Homan had a vlog, shut up, because you'd be watching it. We'd all be watching it. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. All it is the medium has changed. You know what I mean? You like, I grew up when everything was in magazines and on props VHSs. You know what I mean? You had to wait to get that shit or see it at your local shop. Things have changed, and that's the only thing. A lot of people just don't like the change. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's still all good, man. That's all that matters. It's still BMX. Just because it's different, the medium, the format is different. People are doing vlogs, or doing Instagram. The social media aspect has just changed, but it's still all good shit,
Yeah, you can definitely see that, like, I watch Scotty Kramer's vlogs every single day. Like, I think it just depends, right? I think no matter what, it does something positive for BMX.
Yeah, and it's just like, and well, that's what's sick about it, man. Like, people should appreciate, like, if you want to just work on vlogs and stick to YouTube, do it. You want to work on social media, do it. You want to do DVDs, do it. You want to make a VHS, go ahead, go do it. That's what's sick about BMX. You can do whatever you want to do. Don't be mad because it's not going the way that you think it should be. That's so, like, it's your own, like, you're so, like, egotistical. You're all focused about what you think it should be. It's not about what you think it should be. It is what it is, and do what you want to do within that entire world of BMX. Do what you do, because the only person at the end of the day that you can control is yourself. The only person you should be mad at that things aren't going the way they like you want them to is yourself. You know what I mean? Stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. If you don't like what they do, fuck them. Don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I can say firsthand, like off firsthand, that, do something within BMX if you love it that much, and I guarantee people will support you. Like, I've released 2 BMX DVDs, and my last one, Space Goats, it's sold out worldwide in 13 days. Like, I was sending copies to Australia, I was sending copies to like the UK, Texas, everywhere. And like, it was pretty crazy to, like, just make a local video. We're not anything like huge. Like, none of us are pro. None of us really know that many people outside of Ontario, but I kind of stuck around and started trying to really push it. And I got a lot of love from Ride UK BMX. Like, those dudes really liked what I was doing. So I picked up quite a few fans there. And, I'm actually going to have one of the people that I met just through the internet that I've never actually had like a full conversation with on the podcast soon. And I'm super excited for that. He's not pro. He's nothing like that. He's just a normal kid that likes BMX.
Yeah, hell yeah. And see, that's what's sick about bike riding. See, if you never would have got into this shit, you never would have been doing this shit you're doing right now. And then that's why, like, no matter what, or no matter why or how you get into BMX, it's a good thing. because something good and positive into your own life is going to come through doing this. People don't realize that, but I mean, it's kind of crazy what we do. You ain't going to meet too many people out on the streets who have experiences like we do. You know what I mean? Like, they ain't got stories. They don't have the culture, man. The culture that comes into it when you're traveling tens of thousands of miles every year with your friends, going to like spot to spot, and the stories, the people, everything that goes into it. Like, shit, man, as bike riders, we live more in the 10 years, 20 years we do riding than most people live in their lives. You know what I mean? Like, you got to appreciate that shit. A lot of people take that for granted. They don't realize how actually like sick it is.
Oh, exactly. All right, man. I kind of want to go back on to some of the clips here that you filmed. So, just some of the other clips that I really appreciated from Hard Times was the tire ride front flip that you did up that like up rail thing. It was like a wooden rail. That was super sick. There's a gap to wall ride on that huge national road bank that's like looks like the start of a bridge, and it's like got to be a 10-foot gap to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That one.
Let's see. The first one is in Columbus, Indiana. It's a real famous spot from well, I don't know what road tools it was, but really famous spot where like Eric Hawley did every trick imaginable down those handrails, like literally every imaginable trick possible. Famous spot, and they're like white metal ledges. They skate top the shit out of them now. There's like 6 foot tall welded on like I-beam fucking stoppers on those now.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was that spot. That was like my opening clip in Hard Times, I think.
Yeah, it was.
And the other spot, which is in Wheeling, West Virginia, fairly famous spot. Like, yeah, that's a bridge. It's a suspension bridge. I think it was one of the first in the United States or something. I can't remember. Something like that. And that wedge piece is like where the suspension wires go into for the grounding. And yeah, I launched off that past like a piece of like spouting and wall rode that. So yeah, that was definitely a wild one.
Yeah, that one was absolutely insane. And then another clip that I really liked from that was the cellar door rail front flip with the rail hop front flip.
Yeah, that spot is here in Columbus. That was made famous by like Ian Swartz. He did like a toboggan for an ad. Oh my goodness, I can't remember who it was for. It's probably like seriously like Mosh Bikes or something that old from that era in the magazine. Yeah, that spot is gone now too. R.I.P. But yeah, that one was like at the dead of night. I think I had like a broken foot, and I still like went out and did it. It was extremely painful and miserable. That's why I like sagged to the side really hard when I land.
Damn,
my foot was fucked up when I did it.
That's crazy, man. You know, like throughout the podcast today, we've talked quite a bit about these spots that end up being gone, like ripped out or skate stopped or something. And it's starting to become something that is really happening. Like at least in my city of Kitchener-Waterloo, like it happens so often. There's so many spots that even from my last video aren't there anymore. Like I remember this one time I went to this. It's like a roof into another roof that kind of gets pretty close to the ground. So like flat roof into slanted roof, and I wanted to do a hop into it, like gap off the flat one into the bank one, and I was being kind of a bitch. It was the middle of the night, and it was kind of like little drizzling out and whatnot. And, I felt really stupid after that because I didn't do it. And then I went back about a month later, and it was gone, ripped out, and there was something else completely built there. I was like, are you serious?
Damn.
Like, there was no signs that it would be ripped out at all.
Yeah, man. No, there's, we're seeing that shit all the time now, especially like, cities are developing so fast now because there's like a push for people to move into the cities because that's where jobs are. So people moving to the city leads to expansion. So product or, people there, like they have to, make room for them. So they're building new shit all the time. Not to mention people are getting more intelligent to the skate and especially skate because that's way more larger than BMX. The lifestyle, the trickery, what they ride, shit like that. That's why I've been focusing on because like I work like construction now, and I've been focusing on, I do like maintenance or like remodels and shit. So I have a shit ton of my own tools. That's why now I've been like, a lot of my friends and I, we focused on removing skate stoppers or making spots into what we need them to be and repairing them or doing whatever we have to ride them. Because as you know, scarcity becomes a thing, like all the spots that we couldn't ride before because they're too fucked up or had an issue or whatever, now we're just like, nope, let's fix them. Let's make them rideable. Oh, this 60/40 isn't spaced out enough. All right, let's bend the rail. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you want to tilt over this Jersey barrier? All right, go get the toe jack. Let's lift it. Like, what? You know what I mean? That's like what has become a major focus that this last year and year before I've really been into. I mean, shit, I cut a tree down today because it was in the way. There was a spot that everybody talked about doing this trick over, and nobody could do it because there was a tree in the way. Well, there's not a tree in the way anymore because I cut the damn tree down.
There you go.
I mean, that's how far we've taken things. So,
dude,
I think everybody should.
You're always demolishing shit, eh? There's like a cinder block wall you knocked over today, cutting down trees.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, me and my friends are a little bit, we're like delinquents anyway. So I don't know. Maybe I grew up watching Beavis and Butthead or something too much, but maybe it's criminal mischief's fault. I don't know. I don't know.
Driving the car through the rail.
Yeah, Little Devil ruined my life. Okay, like
that's so good.
But yeah, I mean, I think everybody should do that shit. Like, number one, travel as much as you can. If you find spots and you want to ride them, but there's something wrong with the run up or the rail, or you need something, go buy some tools, start doing some work. You know what I mean? Like, we do all that shit now. Like, because I know everybody's been to that spot that's like, man, it would be perfect if this. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this would be so good, but this is in the way, or this. It's like, well,
it doesn't have to be.
Biz vest, go get some tools, make it work.
Oh, it's so funny. It's crazy how the high visibility vests, they work so well. Like, you just put one of those on, a hard hat, and nobody blinks an eye at all.
Oh, no, there's an entire, like, psychological thing behind that. If people think you should be doing something, they believe that you should be doing it. So, I mean, we obviously know how people follow anything in, like, a uniform, and they, you know, will listen to authority as long as it's, like, in a uniform, even if it's, like, whether it's a doctor, police officer, whoever it is. So the same applies for construction workers. You look like a construction worker, you're doing construction, nothing to see here, they keep going. Versus if you're like in your like riding attire, you got your Vans on and shit, and you're trying to like do something, they're like, look at these fucking hooligans.
Yeah, what the hell are they doing?
Like, yeah, versus if you show up in construction gear and your shit kicking boots and a high vis vest on, and you're like, you got a clipboard with you and you're like pointing at it and you're yelling at people to get it done. You got a white truck parked next to you with a flasher on it. Oh, forget about it, dude. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's gonna question it. And if somebody does question it, like maybe the property owner, be, oh my goodness, this is supposed to be 632 Water Avenue, not 635. We fucked up, Jimmy. You know what I mean? You start making shit up. Whatever you gotta do, man. Like, if you want to get it done, you can get it done. Like, go there at 4 a.m. Like, I mean, shit. We got caught one time doing like concrete work at 3:30 in the morning, and the cops were like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" Well, we're like we're repairing this little handicap ramp right here with concrete so my friend could ride his bike on it. Like, you're doing free concrete work at 3:30 in the morning. And we're like, yeah. They're like, just get the fuck out of here. they don't know what the fuck to do. Like, we're not destroying it. If we're like literally laying concrete, putting bricks in, like doing the actual work that you would be hired to do as like a contractor, and you do a professional job on it, nobody's going to notice. And not to mention, you're not even destroying it. And they get so confused because you're properly fixing it, or like we're repairing rails and shit by actually pouring and mixing like Portland cement and putting it in, or putting in like epoxy to hold rails in appropriately, like fixing spots. People are so confused when they come up under that because you're not destroying property. You're actually fixing something so you can ride it. But you're actually fixing it so if somebody's like to fall on the handrail, it actually supports their weight versus folding to the side. You know what I mean? So it's a really strange thing for, normal people to see you doing that.
Dude, I bet it's so funny when like the property owner comes over and he's like, "I didn't hire you guys to do this." Like, well, we're fixing it, so don't even worry about it. Like, I guarantee they
Yeah,
don't know
and
what to
then
do.
yeah, because like, what would you do if you had a broken rail in the front of your house, like it's been broken for a long ass time, and all of a sudden this random vigilante group of good doers shows up and fixes the rail, and you're just like, what? You fixed this? I've been meaning to fix this for years. My insurance company's been on my ass, and you guys just did it. And you're like, yeah, no problem. See you later. And then you come back later and grind it. Like, they ain't gonna know. They're just gonna be like, oh my god, like it's such a confusing thing for people because most people are just like think you're malicious and being negative and destroying shit. You know what I mean? But if you like actually fix it and then ride it, like it's over their head. They don't even know how to act. They literally like shut down the computer, blue screen death. You know what I mean?
That's so funny. Oh man. Yeah, Sebastian Keep did the same thing for his walls video. Like at the end of it there, and even halfway through it, they just kept having people in high vis vests, and nobody fucking noticed. Nobody cared. And, like he literally,
No, it's so sick. That was so badass. Yeah, it just like yeah, you can do whatever you want with high vis, but hopefully they don't catch on to that.
yeah, right. Like I don't
As
want
of
to
right
have to
now,
fucking. Oh man, so good.
yeah.
Alrighty. So I wanted to hear a bit about us them. So the first one that I wanted to hear about, this is a clip that you didn't talk about in the video that you did with, was it Dig?
It was Ride BMX.
Ride BMX, okay. So there's a clip of you doing a wall ride flare on this really cool like bank to wall setup, and the bank looks like it has some really good transition. How did you first find that spot, and was that something that you came up with right away when you found out about it?
That spot's pretty famous. Van Homan, I do believe it's Knoxville, Tennessee. I think Van Homan wall rode it to switch down whip. I think it was an ad for something. At least I remember being told that. I may be wrong. So it's been something that's been like definitely written and shit. I just went there and like did it, like wall rode the wall, and I was like, shit, I know how to do wall ride the flare. I'm an old park rider. I can definitely do that trick here. So yeah, first try, I just put my foot down. Second try, I rolled away from it. I did that too. I was sick as a dog too. I had like 103-degree fever and shit.
Jesus.
I didn't even film the whole time I was down there, and it was just me and Howard. We were down there, and like I was like, man, I'm not gonna fucking be here again. I got to do this.
That's so crazy. And the other clip that I wanted to talk about, this was one I was actually really disappointed that you didn't get into details on in that Ride BMX video. There's a huge 360 drop into this bank, and it's probably like a 10, 12 foot tall, like, flat top into this bank. How did that come about? Like, it looks like it's literally in the middle of nowhere.
Oh man, that's out near Gary, Indiana, which I think every American should travel to Gary, Indiana to learn some history about what can happen in this country. But that's a side subject. It's a completely damn near abandoned city. It's frankly terrifying. It went from like super populated to literally losing like more than 75% of its population.
Oh my
The steel
God,
mill
wow.
shut down, like all super crazy things. So yeah, that was a bridge that was being constructed, and they ran out of money and they just stopped.
Wow.
So it's got like this huge, like circling, like 270-degree 4-lane road that goes all the way around, and then boom, it just stops. At the top of it, there's like a shit ton of Jersey barriers that go from guardrail to guardrail across the top, except for like a real narrow space that like you have to ride through on the one corner. So that's why I had to come through the side. That the wedge is at like probably a 45-degree angle. It's damn near 3 stories tall. It's got like rebar stairs on it and shit that like we had to remove so I could land and ride away. And then it's like the gravel at the bottom is that like thick ass gravel that they use for like truck runoffs and shit to like slow them down. So like riding full speed into that was terrifying its own. You gotta like lean back and surf the front wheel across it.
Jesus.
But, yeah, that's I mean, I'm sure some park riders would do some really wild shit, or like those mountain bike riders would do some wild ass shit. That's right up near the steel mill that's up there in Gary. It's like right on the waterfront. I'm sure some people could do some crazy shit off that, like park riders. It would be nice if you could move the Jersey barriers, because then you'd have like a straight shot at it.
Yeah.
That was one thing that did suck. But yeah, it's got to be, it's probably more than 12 foot tall. It's big. The deck is pretty short on top, like how far you have to go out.
Right.
But the height of it is steep as fuck. It might even be like 14, 15 foot, but the bank's really nice. But yeah, the landing is wildly unforgiving. If anything were to go wrong, it's no joke.
Yeah, I remember watching that video part when it first came out for like that 3 days on Ride BMX, and some of the comments in the bottom. One person made a really, really good point at the fact that the tricks that you were doing in this last video part, including that 3, were clips that you seriously could have died on because of how fucking crazy they actually are. Is that ever something that you would take into account? Or, like, I know that you've got a lot of confidence in your riding, and you're in my mind, you're seriously one of the best street riders in the world.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that shit is like obviously something everybody has, like what, fear. Fear tells you not to do things because you can get hurt. And I like being able to control that. And that is something in those scenarios where, like, I've never gone into something like that where I do focus on the negative, like what could happen. I focus on what I want to do. But yeah, it's definitely, there's some shit where I could definitely get fucked up on.
Yeah,
but
man.
You try not to. You don't ever think about that. I get like some PTSD once in a while though, because I definitely have like, I'll start thinking about it and think of like what could go wrong, and I'll like freak myself out. I'm like, ooh, you know what I mean? Get like jump from it. I'm like, Jesus, like thinking of like what could happen, but it didn't. So.
Yeah, there you go. I guess that's a really good point. Yeah. Anyways, that fucking 3 drop in was ridiculous. It's so crazy, and I guess like same thing as we were saying earlier, that spot is probably so fucking huge and so gnarly that you cannot appreciate it just through video, or just through a video. You probably have to go there to really get an understanding of like the scale of how crazy it actually is.
It's something like off the movie Speed.
Yeah.
The bus jumps the gap. Yeah, it's like the same kind of shit, right?
Oh my God. Alrighty. So my next one here is, over the last couple of years, a lot of your video parts that have come out, they always either end with a front flip or they start with a front flip. Do you ever feel like you're known as the front flip guy and that's it? Or do you feel like people know that you're definitely capable of doing so much more than just front flips?
I mean, it's not bad. It's not really like a bad thing to be known for something. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
fair.
That's cool to have a trick associated with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get like somebody does a front flip on something, and then like people are like tagging me, like, "Yo, Zack Gerber did this first," or like, you know what I mean? So it's not really a bad thing. But yeah, it definitely sometimes it takes away from a lot of other things, because then people have this like expectation of your riding. They're like looking through a video, kind of just like, "Oh yeah, he 3'd that, he did this, he wall rode that. That's cool. Where's the front flip?" You know what I mean? Like, it does build that expectation, which is kind of a negative to it, but I don't know. It is what it is.
No, that's a really good point. I definitely could see what you mean by people just wanting to, see the front flip and whatnot. But I've actually never really felt that when I'm watching your videos. And I gotta say, man, like whoever does the editing and the filming they're definitely really good at what they do. And I love the fact that if you were to sit down and watch, your OL section, your hard time section, as well as us them, you can pretty much see that they're all very similar. Like the filming, the way that things are filmed, the actual editing of it, as well as the music choice, it's very uniform. And for myself personally, I love trying to keep that stuff like that. Like with a specific rider in my last video, I used 2 songs for the video. I used a song beforehand for the last video before it, and then in Space Goats, I used another song by the same artist and tried to edit it the same. And I think that that's like something not a lot of people will do, and I really like the fact that whoever edits it does that.
Yeah, the first OL video was like, that one was like just, that was just a bit of just a half-ass thing. That was something that like I edited and Colson was a part of it. But like Hard Times and Us Them was all Ryan Howard. Like he did that. Like I obviously like have my 2 cents and we talk about shit, but like he's the man behind all that. He's the one who's literally behind, shit, everything we're even doing now. So yeah, shout out to Ryan Howard.
Yeah, Ryan's definitely pretty good at what he does, because I just love the fact that if you watch Hard Times and then you just watch Us Them right afterwards, it's almost as if the video part never ended in the first place. You know what I mean? Like with Hard Times?
Yeah, I mean, we literally did that. I mean, that speaks to it. Is like that was one project right into the next. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be why it's like that,
That's a good point, actually. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your crashes here. You've got a really hard slam in Us Them. You were doing a 360 over a ledge hop down a pretty big set. It looks like it's got to be at least a 20 set. And when you land, like you pulled the trick perfectly, but when you land, your front wheel or the hub exploded. And you kind of like ended up going over the bars by the looks of it. Like, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was the first try.
Wow.
And that was definitely like folded out every spoke in my front wheel and blew the rim up. But yeah, that's a pretty big stair set. It's a 21 stair, 21 I do believe, and it's. I mean, we live on the East Coast. We have snow out here, so our stair sets are higher than most things in the West Coast, just because we have ordinances in place for how much foot traffic you have. If that's actually at a public pool, so much foot traffic they get there, it requires the stairs to be higher, certain things like that. So I don't know how tall it is, but tall enough that when you land, your wheel just explodes.
Oh,
I feel like in Us Them, I finally like was pushing the limit of like what a bicycle could handle.
No, I can definitely agree.
To reach that personal limit of like what my bike could take.
Well, with the first clip, that Jaws gap, you did the bar spin down it, and I feel like a lot of people don't know this, but the first take of it, like in the actual full edit of it, the front wheel on the bike explodes and the back wheel ends up getting super fucked up. That's actually the third try, is it not?
Yeah. The first one is like I land and my wheels just get like, they bend, but they're still like together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The second one is the one I rode away from, and then the third one is where I basically like I Smith grind the ground.
Jesus, man. It's so crazy. So something that I wanted to mention about that is, Sean Burns has always like based his stuff on never settling. Like if you do something a little sketchy or you don't feel like it was 100% to the capabilities of what you can do, you go back and you try it again. And it's very clear that you have the same mentality when it comes to that. Like, the second try where you did roll away was completely acceptable, but for yourself, it was like, I feel as if you definitely thought that it was not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that was a bit like beyond expectations because, I mean, the thing's like a 13-foot drop.
It's
like,
so
I don't
crazy.
really know like what I was expecting out of that, but yeah, I was trying to make it as clean as possible, and I'm just lucky I even managed to walk away from that third one because I don't know. Somehow I just literally did like a candy bar step through and ran away from it versus like smashing into the ground.
Yeah, that's like the most mind-blowing thing about that is that you actually just got out of it so clean. And I love the fact that like if you watch the video that you did with Ride explaining like some of the backstory behind it, literally right away, sorry Howard.
Yeah. Yeah, I ruined his front and back wheel on that. But yeah, shout out to, I think it's a lot of it's for me. I think it's I mean, I wrestled like bow style wrestling all through like high school and into college. I think that was like something that helped me physically be able to be quick reacting. So
yeah, that's definitely I could see where that would come in,
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that's helped me out substantially was I used to work out a lot and be in wrestling. Like that was like something I loved more than bike riding for a very long time. But yeah, that's definitely something that's helped like physically and my reaction time is definitely that.
For sure. So don't take this the wrong way, but I've always felt that you are one of the most underrated riders in the BMX world. Is there any reason behind that? Do you think maybe that, people don't, I don't know, because I'm like, you have such a insane riding style. Everything that you do is so crazy. I don't know if maybe just the BMX world moves so fast, or, maybe you're just not wanting to be a huge mega pro, but I don't know. Explain what you might have behind that.
Oh, it's no secret. It's I'm a liability. Not in the fact of like what I do or ride or anything like that. It's just because I'm an outspoken person. I don't have very much of a. I'm not good. Like, okay, so there was a time period where like I was on like paying teams. I rode for Redline Bike, for example, and I'm not really good with the whole image and idea of like selling out to a company. And that's like something you got to do. And nobody talks about this shit, but for real, if you want to be part of a company and you want to be paid, you got to sell out. You got to fucking sell out yourself. You got to be willing to do that. You got to, because essentially you're a billboard for a company. You know what I mean? You're a marketing piece for that company. So you kind of got to do what they want you to do. If they don't want you to like say stupid shit on the internet, which I'm really good at, well, then they obviously like, you got to listen to them. You know what I mean? If they don't want you to do things like, I remember when I was on Redline, we went to like Idaho and I got in trouble for, like taking pictures of me and my friends with like shotguns and like flipping off the camera and shit. And they were really bummed. They were really bummed that we did that. You know what I mean? And I also learned how, doing things for like companies, like how disposable you are. Like for example, Redline started this program and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. We went on trips. Flip was a TM, Brandon Dosh, Tyler Ferganell, like all those dudes were on the team, Glenn Salyers. And then like the next year, like, well, we didn't see the quarter turnaround that we wanted, so we're cutting the whole program. Just like that. Boom, done. Everything's gone. And it's just like, oh, this is a fucking wake-up call for me. You know what I mean? Like, I've never experienced anything like this. And I just realized, like, fuck it. I don't want to be a part of company or any part of anything where I have to, like, sell myself short, where I can't, like, say shit on the internet, where I can't fucking post what I want to post, where I have to go to a contest because they say I got to go to a contest. I got to wear what they want me to wear. Like, I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to be a piece of shit on the internet and talk like an asshole and say whatever the fuck I want, but at least I'm going to be me. You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, I'm fucking the most happy I could be. So, whatever. I ain't worried about being underrated. I ain't worried about what possibilities I could have had or like, oh, well, you should be on Red Bull. I don't give a shit about Red Bull. I'd rather like work a full-time job, spend my money however I want to, and ride my bike whenever I want to. If I don't want to ride it for a year, I don't have to. If I want to ride every day, I can. You know, that's my freedom of choice, and I'd rather have my own freedom to do what I want than have to do what somebody tells me to do.
You know what? That's actually like, it's a really good point. I think that I bet that a lot of BMXers that are mega pros kind of look at that and wish that they were able to, do what they want to do and like wear the clothes they want to wear and really truly be free, because BMX is about expressing yourself. And if you really, as you put it, sell out to a company, you're not really expressing yourself. You're expressing that company at that point.
Yeah, and you got to worry about, it's not just you anymore, it's you and them. You know what I mean? So like what you say affects them, and that's why essentially like I'm a liability. I say a lot of dumb shit all the time, and like I'm very outspoken about anything, and I'm wrong about a lot of things too. Like I'm a human, but I'll just like express and say whatever I want and have an opinion on it. But like that just looks back on me, like, oh, I look bad. Well, that's fine because that's me. At least that's my point of view. And I'm not affecting another company. And, if you are going to be part of a brand or part of anything, like, you can't do that shit. You know what I mean? And like I said, I was in a position where I couldn't say shit, where I couldn't do shit. And I just was like, I don't like this. I want to just be me, and I want to be I suck. You know what I mean? I suck as a fucking person. I want to say stupid shit on the internet. I want to fucking talk shit on people who do dry ice picks and fucking make fun of people who do street flares for attention. And like, even though I do that shit, like, I want to shit talk. I want to fucking be an idiot sometimes. I want to be called a fucking idiot. I want to, like, whatever. I'm human, but you know what I mean? That's like what I want to do. So I'm not mad about it. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm happy, and that's all I could ever hope anybody would be, is happy.
So true. So you mentioned, you want to make fun of people that do dry ice picks and street flares and whatnot. I got a question for you. So recently we had Dustin Lee, who was the guy behind Rodeo Peanut. Did you ever get put on Rodeo Peanut at all?
I don't think I did. I might have. I can't remember. Don't quote me. But I definitely have helped contribute to it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was a really interesting conversation with him. We kind of dived deep on the fact, like, behind Rodeo Peanut and how it all started, and how he feels about it now.
Yeah, like, I grew up in an era when I'm like one of the first people, like, I had clips when the Come Up first started. If anybody knows the Come Up, we grew up in an era of complete anonymous commenting, where you would post a bike video and people would go in saying the most horrible possible things they could say to you because it's completely anonymous. Like, every video had hundreds of comments of people just talking trash. And they'd fucking, like, you could post whatever name you wanted. You know what I mean? So they'd be like Mike Spinner, and they'd be like, yo, you fucking, I hope your mom dies. You know what I mean? Because you, like, grinded a rail and came off early. You know what I mean? Like, that's the era that I grew up in. I grew up in the era where, like, the Come Up was making shirts that said embrace hate, because that's literally what the fuck we had to deal with anytime you made any video, anytime, people just talking as much shit as possible.
Damn.
So,
I actually had no idea that was like the Come Up, because at the time I really didn't look that much into BMX. I just kind of rode when all of that stuff was like a thing. The Come Up's still huge, but it's changed so much.
Oh yeah, now it's like, like, everybody, like, you log in with your Facebook or whatever now to leave a comment, so, like, people know who you are. So if you say ignorant shit, they'll find you. You know what I mean? Like, no, we had none of that. It was completely anonymous, and it was just like, I don't know, there's entire generations of us who just grew up, like, witty, asinine. I mean, God, all the, like, old forum pages, like BMX forum, all the stuff on, like, the Come Up, like, I mean, they used to have, like, an entire thing of, like, just hot scene girls. Like, man, it was a golden era of BMX. That was my favorite shit.
Hell yeah. So here's a good question for you. Do you think that BMX does need hate in it, or should it just be about love and people actually respecting others, even if they don't pull something the right way? Do you think that hate is something that kind of will make people progress?
It matters if you want to define hate as, like, okay, there's unnecessary shit, like somebody, like, threatening to kill your parents because you landed in grass. That might be a bit excessive.
Maybe
right?
A little.
Just a little bit. But if somebody wants to critique you, critiquing is fine. That's like what a lot of people need to understand, these lines, that there's not, like, if somebody critiques you, that's not hate. Just because they don't agree with you or like what you did doesn't mean it's a negative thing. You don't need to take somebody threatening your parents. You know what I mean? Like, that's what people need to understand. Like, just because they're critiquing it doesn't mean it's bad. And I can even take that personal fucking shit myself. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, sometimes you got to be critiqued. Sometimes things look like shit. You know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing. So yeah, I think critiquing, if we, in that focus of, like, the generality, like, people definitely use the word hate way too general. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a critique, it's fine. If somebody's, like, essentially cyberbullying, it's a little excessive. You know what I mean? It could be funny, but it's also a little excessive.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, man. Alrighty, so you did a piece with Dig BMX back in 2015. You mentioned having a bachelor's degree, and you managed a multi-million-dollar company at that point. What was your bachelor's degree in, and what kind of company were you running?
So I went to college twice. Admittedly, the first time I quit. The second time I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management, minor in communication from the University of Pittsburgh. Right after the whole shit with Redline fell through, obviously I wasn't getting a paycheck anymore, so I was working. I fell into a job doing recycling and waste management for a small startup company here in Columbus. Very small company. We literally started with like 3 employees. And over the next 5 years, we grew to 48 employees across 3 states and in 4 locations. And I went from literally doing 1 day a week recycling and trash pickup to being the COO of the company and managing 48 employees. So yeah, it was a learning experience, to say the least. I have a lot of positive and negative things to say about that, but yeah, that firm, we literally made $1 million our second year being open. So, and all we did was pick up trash from condos and bring it to the on-site trash compactors. Literally took it from the doorstep right to the trash compactor. That's it. We just load it in our truck, drive it to the compactor, dump it, go to the next property. That's all we did. $1 million thing.
Wow. That's so crazy,
yeah,
eh?
Yeah, making money off of people being lazy.
That's the way to do it, right? That's why Amazon's a thing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, it's really a thing. Convenience, man. Like, these people, all they did, instead of having to take their smelly trash, they just put it out 1 day a week at their doorstep at their nice apartments and condos, and we would show up at, like, after 8 p.m., take it, walk it to the on-site compactor, and that was it. They didn't have to touch their trash. And the companies that we worked for, they didn't have to pay anything because all it did was increase the rent for the service to the tenants. The tenants paid for it. The company who owned it, which happened to be, most of them were like lifestyle communities, which is the name of the group, they didn't have to pay anything, so they loved it. You know what I mean? They just worked with us. They just added on to their rent, and it's another thing that makes it more marketable, like when they're selling, rentable properties. You know what I mean? Oh, we got a gym, we got a pool, we got curbside pickup for your trash. You know what I mean? So, yeah, brilliant company. And then they sold out, but
True. All right, so we got a couple questions from our live viewers right now. So we'll start off with this first one. It's from a good friend of mine, Chris Johnson. He was on the podcast. He's a photographer within BMX and mountain biking. His question is, one second. He wanted to know about the old video of you eating a light bulb.
Oh my God, that shit will never die. Oh man, that's what happens when you live in the middle of rural Pennsylvania. Dude, I'm just like a total fucking hillbilly bumpkin, my upbringing. But you basically, you know what it's like being indoors forever when, you know what I mean? You can't go to parks or anything because it's just snowing. I lived off of Lake Erie, so lake effect snow is we just had tons of snow, never got to ride as much. It'd be snowing in September all the way to Mother's Day. Well, that's what happens when you have cabin fever and you've drank way too many Red Bulls and Mountain Dew and you're a hyperactive ADHD, ADD having son of a bitch, and you're first discovering what a flip camera is, and you're trying to make viral videos, and you've been influenced by videos like FBM Albert Street and Lou Bickle, and you do dumb shit like that.
Oh man, that's so crazy. How hurt did you get from that?
I didn't get hurt at all. You just get a sore throat. That's it. You can eat the glass. I'm swallow it. It don't matter. Just chew it up.
Oh my God.
Fuck it.
Oh man. All right, we got another one here. 1 second. So Montana Ricky is in the chat tonight, and he said that he goes out of his way to violate all BMX rules on purpose.
What rules?
Exactly.
I don't even know what rules there are. That's good. I don't think there's rules, so I don't even know what he's referencing. He's talking about me saying shit like landing in grass and shit. Yeah, there are no rules. You're still allowed to do whatever you want. People can have criticisms, though, because the way I see BMX may not be the way you see it, but what either of us see is not right or wrong. Neither of us are more right or wrong. So the whole concept of rules or like Rodeo Peanut's whole base of things is just like that's their particular viewpoint, and other people have other particular viewpoints. Nobody's right or wrong, though. No matter if you have more followers or not than somebody else, it doesn't matter.
That's a good point. Yeah, I always felt like BMX doesn't really have, rules, and it was interesting talking to Dustin just about like, the rules of Rodeo Peanut and whatnot. And I've always felt because we ride BMX, we should be able to do like, big gaps into grass and whatnot and be able to break those kinds of things that maybe aren't that like looked upon,
Yeah, no, and then once again, it's just one of those entire things where it comes down to like how you express yourself. If part of expressing yourself through your riding is avoiding grass and not doing halfway crooks, well, that's completely who you are, and it's expressed through your riding on your controllable medium. Like when you make a video, when you make a internet post, whatever it may be, you can control what you think should be done. And someone else can do the complete exact opposite and have no rules and land in grass and roll around and land a trick with no feet or in a foam pit or whatever you want to call it. And that's their viewpoint on bike riding. That's like what makes it cool. Is somebody more right or more wrong because of something? No. Maybe that'll change with the rules in the Olympics. I mean, obviously, like if you land without your feet on a triple whip, they're going to be like, it's not as good as landing with your feet on the pedals. But that critiquing comes down, and those rules will apply in, like, obviously the Olympics. You know what I mean? So, and there should be. That's the sport aspect of it. Rules will apply in the sport aspect of BMX. The art form of BMX will still have no rules.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I can definitely kind of agree with that. I think that sadly it will be a thing that goes into the Olympics that, you have to land as clean as possible. And a lot of the people that are riding in it, they're fucking going hard nonstop because they want to try and be the best.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. There's going to be rules. It's a sport. Like, you can't, like, imagine football and there was no rules. It's not a sport. It's not an activity anymore. There's not even a ball. Somebody's driving a car in the field. Like, who fucking knows what would happen if there's no rules in football? You know what I mean? Or, like, any sport for that matter. When BMX becomes a sport, it becomes rules. There's critiques. There's ways to do things. There's way tricks are supposed to look. There's runs. There's things that count and don't count. Yeah, so that's like the whole sport aspect of it. If you don't want to be a sport enthusiast, you don't want the jock mentality of that, you know what I mean? Well, then stick to the art of it. Go do a Vander roll, you know what I mean? Go do whatever. Ride flatland, ride street, do whatever you want, land in grass, do halfway crooks, double dribble your tail whips, whatever you fucking want to do. That's still just your expression, your form of BMX riding. That's your art. Do what the fuck you want to do. And nobody can critique you. And the people who do critique you, whatever, that's just their own opinions and views expressed onto you, and you don't have to listen to that shit.
Hell yeah. That's such a positive statement for BMX, It is all about like what you want to do. On to the next one. I got 2 more questions from the fans here and a couple more that I've got down. This next one is from my buddy Clayton. He wanted to know how you got on standard. And it kind of goes into this next question that I had on here, so I'll ask you this at the same time. You had a standard frame called the Transplant, and did you get to decide on geometry and color at all, or was it kind of something that was given to you?
All right, so first part, like how did I get on standard? That was like when the whole Redline thing fell through, and Flip, obviously, like he was talking to Rick Molterno. Rick heard about me being off the team. Rick and I, for better or for worse, have always had similar viewpoints on the industry, and where people are just very outspoken and don't really give a shit about the industry. And he liked that about me, and that's why he's like, yo, you want to fucking ride standard? And obviously as a kid from growing up in the early 90s who had an STA 500 when he was growing up, I was like, oh my God, the inner child in me is beyond stoked right now. And, him putting me on and Glenn Salyer's on and shit, like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to be a part of that. So that's how I got onto it. Rick literally just offered me, you know what I mean? He's like, hey, you want a frame? What kind of geometry do you want? That's how I got my first standard. the thing with the transplant was like, Rick hit me up one day. He's like, hey, like, you want to do like a signature model? And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, that's definitely something that, you know, ever since like John Engelbert, you know, Lucky, he had the Cassius, you know what I mean? He had his own signature frame on standard. I was like, hell yeah, I want my own signature frame. That's fucking wild as shit. That came about like choosing colors, geometry. I only did a real small run of them because I don't know. I'm not like somebody who like pushes product on shit. Like if you're looking for something good, you'll find it. Like if you're somebody who believes in the saying that cheap stuff ain't good, good stuff ain't cheap, like, and you care about what you ride, and you care about who makes it, then you're going to find the product that I represent and ride. And yeah, so yeah, it was a cool thing to do. And that's kind of like what I'm doing now with like the whole trespass idea.
Hell yeah. That's you know, it's kind of interesting to hear that you were on standard and that you did have a signature frame. Because I feel like for a lot of pros, all they want is like, you know, one day to have a signature frame. Even people that want to go pro that are like younger kids, you know, that's probably a dream for them. Like, and it's kind of like, it's super cool that you were able to accomplish that, you know?
Yeah, it was cool. And I was just something that was, you know, just cool. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's cool to have a signature frame, especially for a company that, like, when I was growing up, meant so much to me. It was like the only frame I ever had that didn't break. I still have it in my parents' basement to this day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, like it's definitely something that was, you know, meant a lot to me. Like, very nostalgic at the same time. You know?
That's so crazy, man. It's like really cool when you can actually get something that support, you know, not just BMX, but it helps support the USA because all of those frames were actually made in the States, were they not?
Yeah, they're made in Davenport, Iowa. Yep, welded in shop. Like, I don't know. That's something that's cool too. Something that I stand by. I mean, you heard me explain how, like, I believe in, you know, supporting people with your dollar. You know what I mean? You're essentially voting for what you like with your dollar. Spend your money there. Like, so to me, that's something that means a lot, is not only doing, you know, things within our community, but for like America too. Like, let's once again help each other out. You know what I'm saying? So like, to me, him helping me out by doing the signature frame, I'm helping him out. Like, I don't know, keeping here in the States too, it's something that's cool because we can do a run size. If I want to just do one frame, I can do one frame. If I want to do 100, I can do 100. Like, things like that. Like, that's like, I mean, obviously there's perks like that, like with like Profile, they're made in America too. Like, they don't have to deal with like quantity orders that come from like Taiwan and shit like that. Not to mention it's helping people here. You know what I mean? People that I'm going to interface with, people that I'm going to talk to, people that I can literally drive to their house and hang out with them. Versus to me, it's a very different experience working with somebody with like obviously the language barrier. You're fucking on another time zone, fucking on the other side of the world. So, not like it's a negative thing. I'm not trying to say it's negative. I just say there's pros and cons to both.
No, of course I get that, man. Yeah, with Profile, I've had a set of Profile Elites on my bike for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, and those things have held up through fucking everything. And they had the aluminum axle in them. First of all, I ride 4 pegs and brakes, and I mainly ride street. And I've sent them down the biggest fucking gaps, down the biggest drops. I've done the craziest shit that, like, in my life that I've ever done on these hubs. And after about 5 years, I finally snapped the aluminum axle in the back. And that right there says so much about, like, American-made quality product. Like, I still am running those wheels. I just had to get a new axle for them.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started riding and shit, like, when I started like getting, dude, I can't even remember. I got a set of like, I used to run the Profiles with, I had a 48 in the back. And I mean, I probably spent half of my career with a Profile rear wheel. Like the
Holy
entire
shit.
beginning part of me riding was that same wheel. I just get like parts for it, pause, springs, whatever I needed to. I literally ran that for the longest time. I don't think I got rid of that until I put a free coaster on.
Damn. What was
so like that was like when When did Deadline come out? Because that's like when I changed off of a cassette to a coaster. Was when Deadline came out.
Oh, nice. That was like, I want to say 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah, I know it's terrible. I should know when that came out, but yeah, that's like when I switched out. Oh God.
That video is still looked at as one of the best videos in BMX history. Like, I don't want to go as far
Garrett.
as I don't know. I've always thought that, Garrett's part in it is insane. It's incredible. And like some of the other people that are in that are next level, like Augie Simoncini, of course, and you've got quite a few other people,
Yeah,
but
man, I remember Augie when he was doing front flips on fucking wooden ramps at Toronto Jam. I've known Augie for a long ass time. That dude kills it.
He's so crazy.
He flip whipped the fucking 4-foot spine at the Toronto Jam, dude. He had a mohawk and shit. Dude, I've known a lot of those dudes for a long time. Like, I used to like ride with like at Dew Tour, ride with like Garrett and Kevin Crawley and shit. Like, yeah, and I've been a part of that shit for a long ass time, man. But yeah, they're all like super good fucking people and extremely talented bike riders. But whatever. That's a rant.
No, it's crazy, man. Those guys are next level. They're all insane. Like, it's so crazy, especially Garrett. Like, he's been in the scene and looked at as one of the best riders for like so fucking long. Like at least over 10 years, people have thought that he is seriously the best street rider to ever do it.
Oh my God, Garrett. You know the quote that I just said, like, street players are for attention?
Yeah.
That's Garrett all day. That was something he tweeted a long, long fucking time ago. Before when he used to fucking talk shit. Garrett loves talking shit. Garrett's a really good fucking dude, and he's really fucking funny. But yeah, that was a time period that I definitely stole that quote from him. Because that was like a time period when like Sean Sexton, Tony Hamlin, people were doing like street flares and shit like that, and it was just the internet was a way more entertaining place back then because we'd all just talk mad shit all the time.
Hell yeah.
We still do. People still do, but I don't know. You gotta take it as a grain of salt, I guess.
There you go.
Funny.
All righty, we're gonna do our last question from the live stream here. We got another one from Chris Johnson. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. What was the first street front flip you actually did do? Because we talked about Oh Well and how you did that one. But do you remember what the first one was?
The first one, oh my God, I don't even know the name of the video. It's some terrible ass song, I'm sure, and I'm running director forks, I'm pretty sure. Give you an idea how long ago that was.
I actually had a pair of those. That was the first aftermarket bike part I ever bought was a pair of those forks.
You know what? If they brought those back with the 15 millimeter offset versus like the 32 that used to be the normal, they might not look as terrible nowadays just because, they wouldn't be quite as bent.
Yeah.
Shit, maybe they can just run them straight down. Everyone just make them straight down. Director forks just straight down.
Well, that's what they use for Flatland. A lot of people, do they not?
Yeah. I mean, well, Flatland and the bikes are becoming damn near the same anymore.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
obviously
much.
like beefier. But that's like an entirely side subject. I don't know. It's on YouTube somewhere, I'm sure. Like, I front flip downstairs and it's like into like grass. It's on like a 9-stair behind my old elementary school in my hometown. I think I did some other shit in there too. Like I think the first clip is me like 180ing up a 5-stair, and then I turn around and do like a ugly ass bus driver opposite bar spin down him or something. But yeah, it's somewhere on YouTube. I like wall ride 180 over a trash can and other stuff, and then front flip downstairs. But yeah, that video was probably like, man, it might have been I was still in high school or just out of it. Man, I was probably 19 years old.
Wow. So when it came to the first street front flip, how did you kind of go about that? Did you just kind of...
Oddly enough, we were talking about Craig Mass, and I was actually with Anthony Napolitan, and we were riding the Flow 2 skate park in Columbus, Ohio. And there was like a 2-foot-tall kicker at the bottom of this 9-stair, and Anthony and Craig both front flipped up it, and they knew that I could do boxes. I could, front flip boxes, do front flip no-handers and shit. And they were like, hey, why don't you front flip up it? And I'm like, no, dude, that's scary as shit. I can't do that. And they eventually talked me into doing it. And then I realized how much easier it is to do it on like wedge things versus on a transition. Because like on a wedge, you can just, whenever you pop, just pop. You don't have to like time it correctly with the transitional phase.
Correct.
And then after I did it the flow, I went home and I was like, I think I can do this, and sent it down some stairs.
That's so crazy. Was Anthony Napolitan the first to land the double front flip? I think he was.
Yeah, he definitely was. I mean, I tried one in Dutour in 2008.
Jesus.
I think, at Portland, Oregon stop. I was definitely the first person to try it. I got a scar on my forehead from that entire attempt.
Oh my God. So how
over a normal box jump too, not like a big ass one, but a normal box jump.
That is so crazy. What happened? Did you just kind of get 3/4 of the way around on the second flip and eat it, or what happened?
Yeah, like I got all the way around and I landed like back tired. I just essentially never untucked. I got all the way around. I got 2 around, but I hit my face off the crossbar on the landings and then fucking rode out across like the floor, and there was a vert wall after the box jump, and I like slid sideways into the box jump, and that's when I remember like Joey Marks, aka Whitesnake, fucking coming running over, and like the medics like, holy shit. I had like a mild concussion and had to get like 12 stitches in my forehead.
Jesus Christ, man.
I think Mark Losey probably has a photo of it somewhere of me trying it. So
I'm gonna have to look that up
somewhere.
Dude, I had
I don't
no
know
idea.
if that one exists anywhere. I don't know if that one even exists on the internet anywhere. It's literally like, that's mad long time ago.
I tried to do like so much research on you, but holy fuck, dude, I'm learning so much. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been riding for like 20 years now, so there's a lot of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of it has changed, man. We lost a lot of our history, like with rides disappearing. Like articles and photos and so much content that we had on there is just gone. It's kind of fucking crazy. Like a lot of our shit is essentially restarting. I feel like a lot of kids are like discovering me on Instagram and like, man, holy shit, like how long you been riding for? And I'm like, 20 years. We only have like 30 posts on Instagram. I'm like, yes, because I don't believe on having like a lot of shit on my Instagram. Like, man, I didn't know you did all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, man, I've been doing this shit since people were filming clips on flip phones. You know what I mean? Like,
so true. Oh man. Alrighty, so we'll jump back into a couple questions that I got here for you. So in your newest full-length part, Us Them, you did a nollie pegs on this huge rail to drop, and like I was saying earlier about the whole like Ride UK interview you did, you actually did talk about this rail. You had the street god, homeless guy behind the dumpster. But what I really wanted to know is I found a clip of, I think his name is Mike Vivito.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's doing the same rail, but he just double pegs it. Who did it first? Was it you or him?
Well, let me say, first of all, mine was also switched.
Oh, shit. I did not think of that.
Yeah, it's nollie and it's opposite.
Oh, my God.
That's just me being egotistical and a dickhead. But Mike did it first. And that rail's terrifying. And Mike is a very, very tall man. And it'll give you an idea. Like, Mike is a damn near foot taller than me.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, he definitely did it first. But then, yeah, I did it nollie switch after him. So, but shout out to Mike. He's the one who he was definitely the first person to do that. So credit is due. That rail is no joke.
Oh my God, no, definitely not. It's fucking huge. Like, and, you know, it's got the kink at the bottom, like that you kind of have to hit. I know that you pulled off of it before that, but like it's so gnarly. Like if you lean to the other side, you're fucking dead. Like exactly like you were saying in that video with Ride.
Yeah,
like
it's like a 14 stair to El Toro drop. That's basically how tall it is. Like it's not a joke. And I mean, I honestly wouldn't have done that. Like it was something I didn't really want to do. And it just, at the particular time and a point in my life where I like was just like, fuck my life. And I just felt like doing some dumb shit like that. So I was in Dayton at the time, and I went there like one night by myself, and I was like, I'm fairly confident with like knowledge of switch grinds. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I went out and filmed like 5 clips that day too.
Damn.
So yeah, I did like the wall right over. I bar spun over like this trash can. I did like this hop into this handrail, like 180 kick flip. And then I did the fucking nollie to switch pegs on the rail of Destiny. So it wasn't like a malicious thing. I knew Mike had done it. I wasn't like being like an asshole. It's just like, well, that was there. I had thought about it, and now it's like, let's just do it. So shout out to Mike being a crazy son of a bitch for doing that. Mike's definitely a really sick bike rider too.
Hell yeah.
Very talented dude. I miss riding with him. He always like to push shit, and I like people who are like progressive like that. Like, you know what I mean? You do a trick, and then they do a trick, and then you gotta do a trick, try to better one up him, and he's trying to one up you. I like that. I like that competitive shit. Like when you're riding with your friends like that, and you kind of push each other. Mike was always like that, riding together.
That's crazy, man. So this kind of transitions into my next question here. How do you feel about ABDs or one-ups? Is it a positive thing that we need in BMX? Do you think people should just go find a different spot and try it there? Or is it something that it's all about a personal battle and we should focus on that rather than, comparing two people?
All right, so this is kind of like my own personal stance. Like ABDs, so if it's a completely virgin spot, like nobody's ever ridden it, right? Say it's a rail, and you go out and you double peg it, right? Like, which would be like one of the most basic things you could do on it. And especially like something like Mike's part, for example, that feeds into a good, like, you should get the shine for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Being the first person to do it. And then I think it is obviously natural to have things progress and tricks on a setup get more and more challenging. As long as it's upward, I always think if you go to a spot that already has things done on it, to, do the more progressive trick. My problem with things is like, I don't like doing ABDs. Like, I don't want to do something that already somebody did, especially like, I remember years ago, Ben Lewis and I both switched ice picks the same rail at the Motorola building in New Jersey. And he got the clip in a magazine, and he let me get the clip out first in an edit. And we were cool with that. You know what I mean? As far as like, because nobody knew who did it first. And in all reality, it was just a fucking switch ice pick. Who really cares? But yeah, I think there is like, I don't want to ever ABD somebody, and I don't want to ever one down somebody. Like if somebody did pegs to bar, I don't want to just do pegs. You know what I mean? Like, you want to progress things. Like if I ever went out to California and I went to a spot where Garrett Reynolds did something, I'm just going to be, yeah, why the fuck am I here? Take me home. Like, you know what I mean? True. I'm not gonna one up him. Oh, well, you could do something like more creative or something. And it's just like, no, he did ice pick hard 270 bar spin on this fence. What am I going to do? Double peg it and like hard 270? Wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, he got his shine. I don't like that idea of doing something like quote unquote more creative with myself. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I could do like this trick and do like a turn down in it versus a tail for a bar spin. And it's just like, why am I going to go to the spot where, like, for example, like Dennis Anderson, like 180 whipped over this fence? Why would I go there and 180 turn down it just because it's a different trick? Me personally, I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to go up there and like one up it, or I'm going to go there and like front flip it, all right, cool. I'll take that because that's something that's progressive. It's better than what has been done. But I don't want to like one down it, and I just don't like one downing, or I don't want to do an ABD. So that's my own personal stance on things. But other people, like you said, I like the point you said about like, the focus on the personal struggle. That's a good way to look at it too, because you should go to a spot that like maybe your friend did something on it, you know what I mean, and you want to do it too, and you're progressing as an individual. That's also very important as well too. Like I've done ABDs like that Seth Kimbrough did. He bar spun this bank that was like in Georgia, I believe at Athens, and I bar spun it too. But when I put it on the internet, I was like, oh, paying homage to Seth Kimbrough. You know what I mean? Recognizing what he did, giving him credit where credit's due, and then still getting my little bit of shine for doing something as well. So, I don't know. That's kind of a glimpse into my viewpoint of that shit.
No, I've definitely always felt that when it comes to ABDs or one-ups, that, I think that with ABDs, it's nice to kind of do it as a personal battle, and it's something that you're doing for yourself and nobody else, right? Because that's really what BMX is all about.
I totally agree there too. As long as, like, if you know it's an ABD and you know it's somebody and you do it for your own personal struggle and your own personal progression, then do it. Just always pay homage to the people who did it. You know what I mean? Be like, hey, so-and-so did this, but I did it as well. And then it's cool because at least respect what somebody did. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. And funny story, I'm like pretty sure Seth just started following me on Instagram a couple weeks ago, which is kind of fucking cool. That guy is like, for people that don't know, Seth is absolutely insane. That guy is like, such a legend when it comes to the Road Fools videos and props and whatnot. Really, like, big mid-school legend, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Shit. And he's one of the nicest, most kind-hearted people, too. Seth Kimbrough, one time at Nora Cup, he gave me a beer, and I don't drink, and I totally, took a sip of it because Seth Kimbrough gave me a beer, so.
There you go. Oh, man. Alrighty, so Zach, we all know that your trick that you're known for is the front flip. Would you mind walking us through the front flip? What are some key things that would help somebody wanting to learn them? Like, what's something that would really separate it from just trying it to actually pulling it?
I would always suggest people try it on a wedge into obviously a foam pit. I mean, that's realistically where I learned it. That's where people should probably learn it. Or snow, whatever. I don't know, something soft. I don't care what you got to do, figure it out. I watch people do it into a bunch of fucking mattresses, whatever. Try it on a wedge versus an actual transition. Transition ones are kind of hard versus the wedge. You can lean back and pop whenever you feel like it versus a transitional space. You have to do it at exactly the right time. Most of the
All right, we'll be right back. The phone hung up or something there. That was a little strange.
Hey, bud.
Hey, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't either. That was really strange. I don't know. That's really weird. It was just I'm talking about tricks, and boop, just said I quit.
Yeah, oh, weird, man. Anyways, so we were talking about the front flip. You just mentioned that, don't do it on actual transitioned lips and to try them on a wedge first. And that's something that's something I've always had a hard time with. I've always wanted to learn front flips, and I've tried to do them off wedges, and I feel like something that I've always done wrong is that my feet come off the pedals when I'm trying it. I don't know how to and I have brakes, so I know that you're supposed to grab the brake as you flip, but my feet still fly off.
Yeah, you don't need brakes. I never used them even when I had brakes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the easiest part to do as far as what I'm considering is, so that position when you lean back for a manual?
Yep.
So you lean almost to that point in a manual. So you put all your weight, your weight back. You're going into a manual, but not quite pickup manual, right? So that means you're going up the wedge, and as you're going up the wedge, both tires come onto it, and you lean back because you're almost going into a manual. And then right as your front wheel gets to the top, you take all of that back motion from you being almost in the manual, and then front as fast as you can from that position in the rear manual to the front of the handlebars, right? Straight into that, elbows out, eyes parallel to the forks and crossbar of your handlebars, right? And the faster you can do that motion from that back weight to that forward weight, the faster you can flip. And then from there, it's as simple as long as you can learn that snap. If you can get that snap down, like your feet will stay on because they like tilt forward on your pedals when you get into that body position. You stay tucked until you get 270 degrees around. You'll be able to see like the horizon at that point, and then you'll know how to open your arms out to land. So the snap is the hardest thing to learn. Once you get that pop, it's fairly simple.
Yeah, I heard a very similar thing from Mike Varga, who's a joyride local and also the first person in the world to land a 1260. That kid was telling me that when you do it off a transition lip, basically go into it as if you're going to do a backflip, and at the very last moment, kick forward as hard as you can.
Yeah. It's all about the snap is what it's called, like getting that back to forward motion.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. It comes from a lot. It's all in like your shoulder weight. You know what I mean? Like how fast can you go from forward to back? I mean, once you figure out that snap and like confidence in it, that's basically all the trick is how fast you can pull it. Different than a backflip, where a backflip you're kind of like continuing the natural rotation where you just like look backwards and come around. The front flip it's like a muscle trick. You got to like pop your shoulders forward as fast as you can to get that rotation started.
Right.
So that's why it's unnatural, but it's nice because a front flip, if you under rotate a front flip, you get 270 degrees around, you just land on your feet. You do a back flip and under rotate, you land on your chest.
Yeah, I've done that.
and I was front flipping boxes and shit before I was doing tail flips and before I was doing back flips because I don't know, they're just something that weirdly came natural to me.
That's crazy, man. I was going to ask because, out of all your video parts, you do quite a few front flips, but I've never seen a clip of you doing a backflip, only flares. Are backflips something that you're just not really a fan of? Like myself personally, I've done, 10, 15 of them over like resi box jumps, and I've never actually done a flyout flip, so that's pretty cool. I've always done it into transition, but I don't know. I've just never wanted to take it to wood, never bothered taking it to dirt. For me, I don't feel like it's something I really care about that much. It's cool the first couple times, but it's relatively easy as long as you commit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest part because it's unnatural to go upside down on a bike. You know what I mean? It's something you don't want to do. Backflips, I mean, I used to like riding shows. I do like flip turn downs and shit. Now mostly when I do backflips, it's like either like stupid comical shit, like flyouts, like out of like small lips, or like I like doing backflip to fakies on like big quarter pipes and shit.
Damn.
Stuff like that I still do. I did one not too long ago. I just don't film them usually just because I don't know, it's just something I can do.
Flip to fakie is like such a crazy fucking trick in my mind.
You're just like, I learned them just one day by trying them, and you definitely just eat shit really bad the first time because your front wheel either like cases the coping or like you land like sprocket and flip over and land on your back and hit the back of your head and shit. Like Oof. That's gonna happen. Yeah. Or you're gonna land and like do like that nose wheelie fakey bullshit where you end up on your chest.
Oh, no thanks.
Yeah, that's just like, that's how I learned it, was just straight trying one on the quarter one day. I was like, well, today's the day. Here, fuck my life.
God damn. So here's a little, BMX insight for you. Do you know who landed the first backflip to manual?
John Heaton? No. John
Heaton, correct. Now, Did you know that John Heaton actually grew up in Kitchener? Well, he actually grew up in a little town called Woodstock, about 20 minutes from Kitchener, and he lives in Kitchener now.
Dude, what do you mean? Road Fools 8 is my Bible. Okay? That is like my favorite video, of course. I know a bunch of John's like definitely somebody who influenced my riding.
Hell yeah.
How many people do you know doing like backflips to fucking manuals on sub boxes, or even backflips like double peg on sub boxes?
It's fucking pretty crazy, man. I remember going to the park when I was like, 2 years into BMX and just randomly meeting him with my dad, and I had no fucking clue who he was. And, I went home and did my research on him, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is fucking huge.
Dude, McNeil and Sobey did demos in the bus, and they came to Studio 334, and he was there with Jay Miron, Don Mack, Ruben Alcantara, Dave Frymus, Nate Wessel was there too. Like, dude, the legit McNeil, like, that was the first time I've ever seen somebody do a backflip. Like, Jay Miron was wearing Oakleys because he was, like, contractually obligated to wear Oakleys. He backflipped no-handed that. Ruben broke his chain and was riding the entire place without a chain. He did, like, the Really wall ride, which is what we call Rubens now.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Dude, watching those dudes ride that shit, like, that changed my world. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to learn how to jump a box jump, and these dudes are doing this shit, and I was like, oh, my God, this is the sickest fucking thing ever. I still have a fucking Jay Miron signed Oakley poster at my house. Like,
that's
dude,
crazy.
Yeah. Like, yeah, people don't realize that. That's the sickest thing about bike riding too, man. You never realize these people. Like, I was like, dude, like, I looked up to you. Like, you have no idea how much of a god I thought you were as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, and then later in life, you just meet him. You're like, oh, what's up, man? Like,
man. So I've got a really funny story for you about John Heaton. So a couple years ago, my friends and I wanted to go and film at this water park. So it's in town, and they've got this huge one slide for like the water tubing or whatever, and it's literally like a 20-foot quarter pipe pretty much. And we were checking it out, we were looking at it for a couple days, and I was like, all right, let's do this. So we go like probably in the middle of March. There's still like some snow on the ground, but it's pretty dry out that day. It's nice and warm. So we kind of dip out back and get into there. We hop the fence, and we are just about to start riding, and the owner of the place comes out, and he's freaking out. There's a girl in the park, like, with her phone, fucking filming us and everything. There's 4 of us. 3 of us managed to get away, including myself. And the last guy ended up getting caught, and they got arrested. So, we wait about a month, and the guy obviously got out that night and whatever, but he gets a court summons about a month later. And guess who shows up at his fucking door delivering him his papers? None other than John fucking Heaton. John is he's a court summons person now. He works with the law, which is insane to think that, like, a BMX rider like himself is doing that. But it's so cool to see that he's actually, like, still out and about. I tried to, like, get in contact with him. I've wanted to do a podcast with him, but he just hasn't I don't think he checks his Instagram very often, and that's typically where I find people to do this stuff, including yourself, obviously.
Yeah. It's just a generational thing too, I'm sure.
Oh, of course, right?
But yeah, John, like, regardless of anything, like, to me is just like one of those fucking people. Like, the entire Road Fools 8 team, the whole crew that went on that, those dudes are just like, I watched that shit on repeat on my VHS fucking, on my fucking VCR until that shit fucking, until the head fucking wore out and I couldn't see shit anymore. And then I had to buy it on DVD. So, yeah, John Heaton's a fucking legend. I don't care what anybody says.
John Heaton is definitely a legend. Like, so crazy that he actually grew up so close to here and that he is still around here. You know what I mean?
Shit, man. Like, Matt Hoffman's book?
Yep.
Like, what is it? The Pursuit of Big Air, whatever the hell it's called?
I think that's what it's called.
Something, I'm not exactly quoting it perfect, but like a few pages in, he references his family moving from, like, they came over to Ellis Island and moving to a small town called Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Literally, like, in his book, that's my hometown.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he references, like, his family, like, came to Ridgeway and then went from there in Pennsylvania to, like, Oklahoma, right? Like, yeah, like, the name of my hometown is, like, in his book. I was, like, reading, I was like, what the fuck?
That's so crazy.
Yeah, the world's a small-ass place, man. It's crazy.
Hell yeah. So you were talking about props a second ago, and a buddy of mine who goes by Hard Copy BMX Archive on Instagram, this guy collects BMX DVDs, VHS, everything BMX. This guy hit me up months ago when I released Space Goats and wanted a copy. So I sent him that, and I sent him my first video. But anyways, he asks, what is your favorite DVD?
We'll do the thing's favorite bike video because it's not on DVD. At least it wasn't when it first came out because it was VHS, and that's obviously Road Fools 8. Still, I got that soundtrack on my phone right now. Like, it meant that much to me. And I used to watch it every day after school. Go to school's 8, watch it, then go ride every single day for literally since I was in like grade school up until like towards the end of high school. Love that video. But my favorite DVD, and I don't care how egotistical I sound, it's us that video. It's our video. That's a group of all my friends. Those are all my memories. That's all my work. Those are all my friends. That's exactly how I feel. It's definitely the greatest video ever.
Hey, man, I can agree with you. I don't think that that's an egotistical thing at all because my video, Space Goats, that's the best video in my mind. I fucking spent hours and hours and hours on that.
Exactly, because you love yourself, you love your friends. That's your shit. You made that, and you should feel that way. And that's awesome. You know
of course.
I mean? And that's how I feel about my project. That's over 3 years of my life. You know what I mean? In a fucking disc. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't need to stay here and like blow smoke up someone else's ass. I'm proud of what I did. You know what I mean? And you should be proud of what you did. That's fucking amazing. You know? So yeah, props. Cheers to you.
Hell yeah, man. You know what's funny is that Space Goats actually took us 3 years to film as well. And like, I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that rush to make these 20-minute videos. We spent, 3 years and we made a video that's an hour and 20 minutes total with credits and intro, including animation. It's a long fucking video. Don't get me wrong. But, I think it really, the way that I did it, I don't want to be egotistical or anything, but the way that I did it, it's really easy to just sit and watch and not like, feel like you're just wasting time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, hell yeah. Be proud of your shit, man. We should all be proud of what we do and support that shit. Like, especially for your friends and yourself involved. Like, that's awesome. And all I think of, man, when you say Space Ghost, all I think is old cartoons. Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which is one of Adult Swim's first thing. I'm obsessed with cartoons. It was like an entire side subject. So I was like, oh, I know Space Ghost.
There you go. No, it's funny because when I first was putting it out, my buddy Harvester, aka Anthony, he owns a bike shop in Markham called Harvester. It's like a mail order site. And he like reposted on his Instagram as Space Ghost. So then like I went and found a good GIF of Space Ghost. I'm a huge fan of Adult Swim, actually.
Hell yeah.
That's good TV programming right there for you kids.
Yeah, that was definitely that was a shit like when I was in middle school. I'd stay up late just to watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That was like one of their first programs, you know what I mean? With like Brack and Zorak, all that shit.
Yeah, that's where Aqua Teen Hunger Force actually originated. They had an episode.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
The Bachelor meal.
Hell yeah.
Dude, when it first came out, it was on, you're absolutely right. It came out on Space Ghost. And oh my God, And then I remember Space Ghost sold out for the, he had the boat. He sold out to a corporate thing for the boat, and then they just came on and were like, "You will buy from the burger meal?" Yeah, I remember all that shit.
Yeah, so good. Oh man,
middle school years right there. That's like literally me in middle school watching that shit, like, barely a teenager.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with like animation and cartoons and whatnot. I'm actually in the process of creating my own pilot for a show that I came up with. I've wrote everything myself, and I'm really excited. I hope it actually does go somewhere, but like that's kind of where I got my influence. I'm trying to do it like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where it's all 2D animation.
Oh, yeah.
I took a lot of influence from South Park and what those guys do, because that's the shit that I watch. That's the shit that I love to sit there and look at.
You're preaching to the choir right now. That's one of my things. Is like I've always wanted to be a voice actor. I love all that shit. I watch every cartoon, watch all that shit all day long. So let me know. Like if you need some ideas or anything, I'm about that. That'd be sick.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll let you
right now. Like
I will let you know right now that if I need a guest voice actor, you're absolutely fucking gonna do it for me.
Oh man, I got all kinds of voices. Like Mike Judge, obviously, like Beavis and Butthead has been like. Dude, he was like my hero growing up watching that shit. And like, dude, when I worked that job at the trash thing, so like when people would call in for like, I also handle like customer service.
Yep.
Dude, I just do like different like voices and stuff. You know what I mean? All the time. Like when they call in, to be, damn, what the hell am I calling into? Like, who is this? I don't know, man. I remember back in my day, you know what I mean? It's just shit. Like, we all do that dumb shit. I love voices and shit. So, yeah, I love that. Hell yeah. Shout out to Loving Cartoons, man. That's what's up. I love that shit.
It's the best. So you mentioned Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead, as well as King of the Hill. Did you
Yeah.
know that there's also a pretty popular BMX rider in mid-school era named Mike Judge?
You know, yeah, I think I might know that. I mean, that's a pretty, you'd think if, like, with a name that's obviously synonymous with Beavis and Butthead, and then if there's one with, within the BMX community, that'd be something that people would talk about,
So Mike was really involved with commercial bikes, if you remember them. I can't remember if he was the owner or the creator or what he did for them, but I do know that he was involved with commercial bikes.
Damn, that's sick.
Mike actually lives very close to here as well. I might ask him to do the podcast soon. I've been meaning to do that. So,
Hell yeah, do it to it.
I've got like a list here of just so many people that I have to ask still, and like guests that I have asked that I don't even have dates for yet. But there's a lot of good people on there, so I'm really excited for that. I'm just gonna write his name down quick, and then we'll jump into the rest of this here. Alrighty.
Hell yeah.
All right. So I got a couple questions for we're gonna end this off soon, but before we do, recently I saw that you posted something on Instagram called Trespass BMX. It was a post that you did where you were talking about a couple of people that are going to be in the Trespass family. You didn't really give too much information on what Trespass is. The family includes Blake Yard, Travis Govin, or sorry, not Travis, Jason Govin and Bo Rogers. How did you decide on the people for Trespass? And can you explain what Trespass actually is?
So we'll just start off. Bo is basically my neighbor, and he's somebody who's always like, Bo puts out a lot of content. He films a bunch of stuff. He's been a member of the Columbus BMX scene forever. Obviously, Blake and Govan are just like dudes that I've known for 10 fucking years from the Michigan scene. Trespass is really something that, like, okay, so Rick came to me a while back. We were talking about the transplant frame. Came to me again. He's like, hey, do you want to do like a version 2 of like a signature frame? And I was like, instead of doing like something for me, like a signature frame for me, why don't we just do like, let's just do something different. Let's do like instead of my frame, let's do something for like my friends, and we'll just do that. And we'll have like a group of friends that kind of market the frame, not have it be about me, but rather about us. You know what I mean? We'll just get a crew together, I guess. And I'm going to buy some frames. I bought all the guys' frames and shit. And I don't know. I just want to do that anyways for like a few of my friends, because I wish I could do it for more. Hopefully I can do it more in the future. Matters how much work I get, I guess.
There you go.
Just buying frames for my friends, let them pick out whatever specs they want. Because there's a lot of people, more than I can even mention, out here in the Midwest, out here in Ohio and Michigan, who are some of the most talented BMX riders and have been for 10 fucking years. As long as I've known them, they've done some of the craziest shit I've ever seen. And they don't get any shine. They don't get the views. They don't get the likes. They don't get the credit that I really think they deserve. And you know what I mean? The industry's not going to pay attention. They're doing their own shit. You know what I mean? And going along with the lines of how I believe in like supporting, yourself, supporting things that you believe in. I was just like, man, like I want to do something for my friends. I want to do something cool. Rick's given me an opportunity to do things like get some frames together and kind of do our own thing. And we all got together. We generalized like what we want in frames and shit. And hopefully at some point we're going to do some frames that other people can buy. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's just like for my friends. It's not anything where like, kids are like, oh, I wish this was like, 0.2 of an inch shorter. Oh, if it was a 21 inch, I'd buy it, or any of that crap. Well, I'm not really worried about what you would want a frame to be. This is what I want. This is what my friends want, and it's for them. So if you want to get on board and support what my friends do, what we do, then you're more than welcome to. If you don't, well, then go buy something else. You know what I mean? That's what I'm doing with it. maybe it'll be something more. Maybe it won't. Maybe I just bought my friends, I bought 4 of my friends or 3 of my friends frames, which that's not a bad thing either. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows? I'm not really trying to put anything on it. It's just maybe we're gonna do a production run. We've been talking about it. Maybe it'll come of it. Maybe it won't. Who knows? If as is, it's just like a group of friends who we hang out and ride bike. Blake shoots amazing photos. Govern's the sickest human being ever. Everybody should meet Jason Govan. If you haven't, I feel bad for you. Like, your life is missing so much if you haven't met Jason Govan yet. And Bo's the sickest man ever. I like hanging out with Bo. We're always riding together. He always motivates me to get out of the house because, I mean, after working like a 12-hour day, I usually just don't want to do shit. And he's like, oh, come on, man, let's go ride. Let's go ride. We can go do something. Let's go hit the curve wall rides right next to the house. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Hell yeah. There you go. Oh, man. Going back on Blake there for a minute, I've actually known Blake for a couple of years. I used to chat with him quite a bit, like just through Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. That guy is so talented with a camera. I have nothing but good things to say about Blake. You know, I've always wanted to meet him, and I'm hoping one day I actually will. Obviously, I definitely will be able to, but how did you actually meet him?
I don't actually know I'm terrible with remembering shit. I don't know, blaming on concussions. I don't know, whatever the hell it is. I don't know the first time I met him, but obviously I've known of him through going to TRP over easily the last decade, if not more. And him being obviously another bike rider who was there. And then as my circle tightened over the years and more focused on my riding and who I was riding with, I don't know, I just ran into him. We were riding together, and I don't know, his photography is just phenomenal. That's why I was like, yo, man, if this ever becomes something as far as an actual a thing, Trespass does, was just well, dude, you've got the skills. You know what I mean? The photo shit he does, whether I just like the lifestyles of BMX. I don't like the actual tricks. I think it's more cool to focus on the moments where we're talking and laughing and that aspect of BMX, because that's something to me that's the most marketable. It's not about what tricks you can do or whatever. It's the moments that BMX provides. And Blake's photography and just our general group of friends, not even just myself, but everybody who's involved in us, them, and then our groups Felix and Martin and everybody in Michigan, having that entire thing, everybody who hangs out and rides together, that is way more important, not only for myself, but if it were to be something I'm trying to market and sell, that's trying to package that concept, right, of just what BMX can bring as far as the memories and the cool shit behind riding your bike and laughing with your friends, all that shit.
I really think that that's something that's so important to actually capture within BMX, is that, there's so many people that do film videos that, you see all these best of the best riders pulling the craziest shit. And I feel maybe sometimes it might not motivate people in the right way, but when it comes down to it, we all do it for the same reason, and that reason is because it's fun and we love it. And those moments where you're just laughing with your friends, or you're hanging out, or even that moment where you land something and you give the you give your friends props, or you get that fucking stoked hug at the end of landing such a crazy banger. For me as a filmer, I always went through this stuff as somebody that I would much rather, the reason that I started filming wasn't because I wanted to make videos, it was because I wanted to see my friends progress, and I wanted to be able to show them how much they progressed at the end of a certain time period, and it's also something to look back on. And I think that people like Blake, or, other filmmakers such as Howard and whatnot, those people are some of the most important people in BMX because they're so selfless and they're willing to give so much just to this thing that, just for other people's pleasure, in my mind, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's BMX is fucking crazy. I don't have a good way to describe it. The fact that it's not a team sport, but you're literally your cheerleaders and there's, you're the cheerleader for your friends trying to pull a trick. And there's also like the aspect of like, dude, there's some like military ass shit to this too, where we're like fucking brothers and shit. When we go into like, you literally go into combat. Yeah, it's not the same. Don't fucking take that some wrong way and try to downgrade the military shit. But like, when I've seen my friends in situations where they could fucking die. Literally, I helped Greg Goldberg get onto this 3-story tall roof where he was going to jump across this fucking gap into this fucking roof in Hard Times. Greg Goldberg's section, watch that thing. That his section's fucked. And he literally jumps off this 3-story roof into this fucking shed roof over this like road gap. It's terrifying, and the roof's held up by like, we put 2x4s in it and shit, and like hopefully he didn't fucking break through it. It was made out of like this rickety ass fucking like that wavy plastic shit. And I mean, I've seen my friends in the worst positions and like be injured and shit, like having to be taken to the hospital because they fucking smashed their face and shit. Like that shit, like that bonds you with somebody. You know what I mean? That bonds you with people who you experience that shit with. Like a lot of that aspect of BMX, that brotherhood, is special as fuck. And I don't necessarily know how to properly like, show that through a media format. You know what I mean? Or how to do that, but I know it's here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. BMX is an extremely special thing. It's kind of weird that we're this obsessed about riding little kids' bikes, but there's so much more to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Well, think about it, man. Like, I just messaged you on Instagram to sit down and have a phone call with me. And, like, that's all it really is, Like, yeah, other people are watching, other people will listen to it, and they'll be able to hear, like, our opinions on BMX. But at the end of the day, this is all about the fact that I want to learn from other people, and I'm like, I think that's something so cool about BMX is that, somebody like yourself that's so talented, that's been doing it for so long, you're willing to just sit down and have a 2-hour conversation with somebody you've never met before. You have no knowledge of this person, and we're able to sit here and have a full conversation just about one thing that we love, and that's BMX.
Yeah, and that's why it's important that everybody gets into it.
Hell yeah!
Like I want to see more. I want to see more people riding. Like I have my own opinions on what I think, you should ride or how you ride, but that doesn't fucking matter. Like, yeah, I have my own opinions on things, and I express that through how I ride. Because me vocalizing them doesn't really matter what I say. No, it matters what I do. Talk minus action equals fucking 0. Okay? So what does it matter what my personal views are? The whole big picture, though, is that we grow this thing, we make it more awesome, and, like, hopefully those kids who watch, like we were talking about the Olympics, they watch it, they're like, oh, I want to learn how to do all these crazy tricks, but then they learn the real thing behind it. Because when I first got into BMX, I just wanted to do tricks. I didn't care about, like, anything else. But as I've gotten older, you learn so much more about it, all the trips, all the traveling. I mean, even to this day, man, you run into people that are, like, normal, and I hate to use that term, but I don't know how to better describe it, who don't ride BMX, who don't have, like, any real hobbies, and, like, they don't like to travel anywhere. They don't like to, and you're like, yeah, every weekend I go to, like, Michigan, or I go to, like, Cincinnati, or I go, like, places that are 3 to 4 hours away every weekend, and they're like, holy shit, that's so fucking crazy, like, you drive that much? I hate driving, like, 15 minutes to go to, like, the store. You're doing all this? It's like, yeah, and I haven't stopped for 20 fucking years. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that's completely unrelatable to a majority of the people in the world. And it's something that seems so stupid on the outside, trying to ride a bicycle and land on these sticks that stick out of the side of your bike and somehow not put your foot down when you come off the ledge. You know what I mean? Like, it seems so fucking stupid, but, like, the things it's offered, the stories I have, the good times, the bad times, the hard times, whatever the fuck it is, I have some of these people who are, like, some of my best friends, people that would literally go to court for me and put their hand on a Bible and lie to the entire group of, to the judge and everybody. Like, some of the best people in my life have come in from this fucking, just riding a 20-inch kid's bicycle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It is really crazy when you try to look at it on a macro sphere. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I feel as if, like you were saying, it may start out because you just want to do tricks, but you know, at this point in my riding career, I've done so much that like I've wanted to do, and you know, there's still quite a few things that I want to do, but I really wouldn't be that upset if I didn't do them. I've done so much within the community of BMX, and I've just, you know, I love seeing how stoked people get on BMX, and that's like why I do jams, and that's why I do videos, and that's why I try and do these podcasts, is because I know that, you know, even if it's just you and I sitting here and we just have a conversation, that's good enough for me, but I know for a fact there's going to be at least one person that listens to this and they're really going to truly take the advice that you have been putting out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You never know if you're going to be that person, like who John Heaton is. He has no fucking idea who I am. You know what I mean? When I was when I was in 8th grade, he had no idea the impact that Road Fools 12 would have on me. You know what I mean? Like, none of those people do. You never know who you're going to touch and inspire, and like, oh my God, this person's a fucking legend. I watch their videos all the time, blah, blah, blah. You never fucking know. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Hell yeah. It's pretty crazy to think that, you know, like John Heaton definitely inspired you, and like all those other people from those Road Fools videos inspired you. And, you know, I was inspired by you and other people, you know, like it's so crazy that BMX is like that. Is all it really takes is one person to do one thing to inspire an entire generation.
Yeah. And you never know who you impact and who you don't. So I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, it's definitely a really, really wild thing. But I think this is why people start like podcasts and who like think about this shit. Like, it is really crazy to try to think about what BMX is, because you can't describe what it is. People are like, oh, it's a sport. Oh, it's an art. Oh, it's a lifestyle. Oh, it's like, dude, there's something more to it. There's something more. Like, there's something. We're driven by something. You know what I mean? It's not just fun. It's not just a challenge. It's not just. There's a lot of shit. It's not about looking cool on the internet. There's a whole bunch of fucking shit that goes behind it. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? I don't know exactly. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know shit. Like, but there's something more to it. That's it. There's something more than we can properly put into words. You know?
Hell yeah. No, that's like, I can definitely appreciate that. That's a really, really good point, man. Zach,
Yeah.
this has been such a treat. This has been so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to just sit down and talk with a random stranger for, you know, close to 2.5 hours here. And
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tend to rant.
Dude, that's
I'm good at
A-okay. My last probably 6 podcasts have been 3 hours plus. So you're on the short side today. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool, good. Because I mean, yeah, I can definitely fucking talk out my ass all the time. I like bullshitting. I like the social aspect of it. I'm one of those people that, like, when you go to like a park or a street spot and the motherfucker's got headphones in, I'm like, yo, take that shit out.
Yeah, that shit's always a little annoying. I don't know. I don't like when people
like,
fucking do that.
Yeah, we're talking shit. Come over here and join in. Like, you know, come on, be a part of it. It's a social thing. You know what I mean? Like, other people go to like social things and do social things at like the bar. We're doing it here at the skate park or at a street spot. Like, that's our thing, you know?
Hell yeah.
Be a part of it. Take those fucking headphones off. You can worry about learning that double whip some other time. Today I'm going to make fun of your ugly shoes. You know? Why you fucking wearing joggers? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, it's cool. Shit talking. It's like a brotherhood thing. You gotta give each other shit, you know?
Of course, man. Oh, fuck. All right, man. Let's end this off with you telling us what you got planned for next year. You got a new video part. I know that we talked a little bit about Trespass. Do you have any like ideas that you really want to try and aim for with Trespass?
Oh shit! No, I ain't really got any goals.
That's all
I'm
good,
like,
man.
Like I said, I'm like 34 now. There's like a lot more adult shit that I'm worrying about. I finally reached a point in my life where I was like content with working more and like growing up. Like, I used to always do shit like irresponsibly and just like get by. I'm tired of being just getting by. You know what I mean? I like saving. I like having money. I like doing adult things. It's funny that we have to literally say that nowadays. Like, oh, I'm adulting. Like, no, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Dude, fucking trust me, I need to get there. I'm at 23 years old, and I know that that's like laughable at the fact that, oh, you want to try and be an adult at this age, but like, fuck, dude.
No, it's rough, man. I mean, shit, I went from time periods in my life where I found blood plasma to pay my bills. You know what I mean? And I'm never doing that shit again. You know what I mean? I've been in some like hard times, man. Like,
well, that's the video name.
Now I've got like yeah, that's where I came from, dude. All of us were in hard times always give you like the best friends. You know what I mean? That's where I literally came from. All of us were going through shit in our life, and I don't know, like that's where that video project came from. That's where the name came from. But as far as like DMX goes, it's just like, it is what it is. There's no guidelines for me. I'm just doing whatever I want. I still ride and I film. The trespass thing is just something I want to do for my friends, and maybe more will come from it. Maybe it won't. Like, it just matters, with, of course, it's always money. You know what I mean? Like, I've got like a good job now and enjoy the work that I do. And speaking of which, I got to be at work at 6. So it's almost midnight here.
Yeah, we should probably end this off. Sorry about keeping you so late, but
no, it's cool as shit. That's just what happens. But like, you got to be an adult sometimes, and you got to know when to go to bed and be responsible.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, I mean, hopefully another project in the works. I know Howard's working on something. He's extremely busy with the shit he's doing with Animal now, and the shit Devin's doing with Animal. Like, those guys they do a lot for Animal Bikes right now. So they focus on what they can. We ride when we can. I mean, I was just with them in Cincinnati just tonight. So, we're both 30-plus-year-old men trying to have lives, you know what I mean? Like, and then still ride bikes when we can. So it's cool though. I wouldn't give it up for anything.
That's awesome, man. I'm like super stoked to hear that, you don't have that much going on, but you still are like planning on doing something,
Yeah, it's just free flowing. Never trying to fucking force anything or like have any like objectives. I think the most, as far as an objective goes, something that we have to do is, we're all talking about making jokes. So like in this next video, everybody has to film at least one tail whip.
Oh, fuck. That's awesome. Well, man.
Yeah, so.
Like I said earlier, this has been a treat. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate the fact that you were, willing to sit down with me and do this. In the future, I'd absolutely love to do another one with you, so keep that in mind.
Hell yeah.
Fuck
always
yeah.
down, man. I'm happy you're doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Of course, man.
Never stop riding, right?
Fuck yeah. And to all the BMX riders listening today, like Zach just said, never stop riding. Let's fucking do this shit. Alrighty, guys.
Whatever.
Hell yeah. All right. Thank you guys for tuning into the Goat Cave podcast. Next week, we got Mike Escamilla. Make sure you tune in for that. Zach, stay on the line just because I got to say a couple words after we do this. And, what's up? Fucking peace out, guys. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah. Take her easy, guys.